everybody. Welcome to the 193rd episode of Super Joystick Radio, a weekly gathering of friends here to talk about all things video games. My name is Andy Halder, and I'm joined by one of my favorite party members, Justin D.
Hey.
Today we'll be discussing E3 2021.
Yeah.
We offer our reactions to the first 2 days of presentations, including Ubisoft, Gearbox, Microsoft / Bethesda, and Square Enix. But first, what have we been playing? Justin, you want to take us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know last week we kind of went over Biomutant, and I continued to play that a little bit more.
Me too.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot more to say about the game, but I'll be honest with you. I just keep falling more and more in love with this game. Just like day in, day out, every time I power it up or whatever, I just fall in love with exploring. I don't give a shit about the story. I don't give a shit about anything else in the game. I am just enjoying the simple exploration. The combat is so much fun. I actually ended up trading in my dual wielding like katanas that I was walking around with. Yeah, I actually went to a larger like two-handed sword, and the combat's actually way more fun, and I'm doing way more damage, and it just feels like combat itself. I can before I felt like I was just stuck doing range. Like I'd get in there, maybe throwing a couple punches or whatever like that, or a couple slice and dice or whatever, but I had to get out quick. Mm-hmm. But switching to a two-handed weapon immediately changed that. Like I was doing so much more damage. I was enjoying combat way more being in melee because it didn't take 20 years to kill something. So yeah, it actually, honestly, it changed the game entirely for me and became so much more enjoyable to get in fights. Like I was actively searching for them. Mm-hmm. I felt like when I got the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild, like I was actively seeking the machines so I could kill them because I was like, that's all I want to do. I just want to be a machine killer. Yeah. Like that's all I wanted. And that's what I really did. And again, this game is just super beautiful. It's bright. Mm-hmm. And I know that I kind of probably came off last week as saying it was kind of just a meh game. Like, don't spend your money on it. Wait for it to be on sale. I still probably would recommend most people probably wait for it to be on sale. Again, I know that they THQ Nordic gave you a free code, and I was all in on it. Yeah, I was all in,
and
on
I was
it.
gonna buy it too, as I said before.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've done is I've sort of just tuned out the narrator. I've dialed him all the way back down to nothing because I don't, I'm not doing anything that involves story or, really speaking to anybody except for when I go into town for crafting. And actually that has become a super fun thing for me as well.
I'm totally into the crafting now too. Yeah. Last week I was talking about how it was confusing for me.
Yeah.
But now it's like clicking and it makes sense. You don't have to worry about really anything. You just go into the crafting and you select what kind of weapon you want, and then everything you need is right there, and only things that will work together fit together. So I mean, you don't have to worry, too much about that. So I think we put too much emphasis on that. And I just wanted to throw in there too that I agree with you. I liked it, but I realized I wasn't nearly as far as I had thought I was. I was actually only on like level 8 or something like that. And I hadn't pursued like any of the story other than a couple of the tribe areas and like looking around a little bit. So this week I actually put in more time than I probably twice as much time as I had last week when I talked about it. And I'm feeling the exact same way. I love it. Yeah. I'm also really interested in the story now. I got to this part where there's a fucking spaceship and I'm like, what? There's a spaceship? What's going on? As far as I know so far, you don't get to fly it. Maybe you do. I don't know. Or maybe you go to another world. I don't know. But I'm kind of hoping that there's something there. Where you could go somewhere else, like leave the planet or something. But it might just be a narrative tool. I don't know. But either way, it's cool. And I'm kind of digging the story now. And I did notice the narrator fixes that they did. When you're talking to somebody, there's less time between when the gibberish starts and when the actual translation pops up and the guy starts talking. And then I know that there's settings to like dial that back too. And it even mentioned it in the game to me. Did you see that where it popped up and it's like, do you think the narrator is too chatty? If so, he'll talk to you less frequently if you go in there and like move the slider down or something like that.
I don't remember it saying something like that, but I know they put in a few. They've definitely gone through. I feel like this game has gotten updated quite a bit within just a couple weeks, and some big patches that have come through. So I'm really excited that to see that the studio is really wanting to make sure that their game is, as polished as possible even after launch. So it's really great response. I didn't see that notification come up on, but like I knew that was coming. So then I like the minute I downloaded that patch, I just put them down to 0.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I understand. It's not bothering me as much anymore, and I'm feeling less confused too. Like I think I'm, it's sinking in, and it just took a little bit more time. I don't think I gave it enough time. I think I'd only played it for like 5 hours, or maybe not even that, before, and I feel like I kind of feel bad because I wish I would have put in a little bit more time before we talked about it last week, but I just ran out of time. But so I just want to amend or add an addendum to our last conversation and make sure people understand that I do really actually like the game a lot.
Honestly, it's shaping up to be something that I would consider for game of the year. Like so far, I know there's a sweet stellar soundbite. Game of the year. There it is. And so far it's really just been Resident Evil 8 and then this one that I've really enjoyed. Is it 8 or is it 7? No, it's 8. Village. But yeah, no, this game it's grown on me. It honestly, I just keep falling more in love with the charm of the world, with just how brilliant it is and how bright and colorful and everything. Just the exploration. Like I never know what's around the corner, and it kind of reminds me of like a Fallout game to an extent where like you never know what's around the next corner. You never know who you're going to be up against or what side story is going to start. I mean, I've literally like pulled like a giant like bear out of like a tar pit with a giant toothbrush. Like that was just a side quest, and it was so much fun. And it was just like random and not stupid. I don't know. I keep
getting distracted. So like that's kind of like what you're saying is like I'll be on my way somewhere. Like this is my objective. I'm going here, but then on the way I'm like, oh, this looks really interesting, and then I'll kind of find myself really far away from the objective, like doing other things. I'm like, oh shit, I got to go back and finish up that objective that I was working on.
Right. And then I'll look for like, hopefully there's like a totem that I peed on, close by so that I can get back to where I was. But
that is super important. You got to unlock those things if you ever see them, because it lets you fast travel around. There were some areas earlier in the game where I didn't really seek those out in like kind of like pretty big hub areas. And so later I finally got to like I forget what it's called. It's that world. That's the area that's like all desolate and like tar pits and you get the mech and everything. Yeah. So I finally got that, and I did like all this shit. Like I basically cleared out that entire area, and so I have like all these save points all over, or all these fast travel points like all over the place. And then I went to go. I had a mission where I had to go back to like this area like earlier in the game, and I had like nothing really close to it, so I couldn't. I could fast travel, but then I still had to spend a lot of time to get there. And I'm like,
you had to hoof it there,
And there was one like right there too that I just missed.
Yeah, that can definitely be frustrating. I again, just because all I've been doing is doing the exploration, and I've not really paid attention. I've found like these super legendary pants that give me like 100% to all of the and this is just random. Like immunities? I was just out there, all immunities to all the biohazards, except for I want to say fire. Maybe I can't remember. There's one that you just like. It's like. It only gives 75% protection, but everything else is 100%.
That's amazing.
So then, like, oh, it's so good, and the defense on it is so good, and the add-ons are great, and it has good stats. So I was like, these are fucking amazing.
Those are some fancy pants.
They are some amazing pants. So I've just been running around pretty much in those, and like going into like those like harsh conditioned areas, and going through all like the secret bases and all like the power plants and the buildings and everything, just looking for more loot.
I'm so greedy. Justin, let me tell you, I've been putting all of my stats into luck because I want to get better loot, because I'm realizing that one of the best ways to improve your character is to get good loot.
Did you spend the one perk point?
Yeah.
For that increases it was only one perk 10. For dude. That's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So good.
I do have a question for you. I wanted to know, did you have you killed any of the world eaters yet?
I've not gone after them at all. Like I said, I've not pursued any of the story. I've only honestly just gone like I see a big old tower in the distance, and I'm like, ooh, that should be interesting. I'm gonna go there. Yeah, exactly.
The Breath of the Wild syndrome. No, I love that.
Yep.
It's really cool. That's that's one of the things I didn't understand, and I hope I didn't say this last week because I had it in my notes, and I was going to say that it didn't seem like it was really that open, but again, that was because I hadn't gotten far enough yet, because there's a spot with the giant tree of life or whatever they call it, that's basically like a hub and like in the middle, and when you get to that area, it's just completely open. Like you can literally go anywhere, and it's huge. And there's like roots going out into all these different areas, and you can see them. They're in the sky, which is awesome. Yeah. So it's like these giant roots through the sky that go into these different areas. And that's what you follow to find and kill the world eaters. And I did fight one. It was in that desolate area we were just talking about with the mech.
Nice.
And the battle was super fun. It was really cool. Like they're giant, so it's a giant boss battle, like bigger than any of the enemies I've seen.
That's awesome.
Although I've seen some pretty big enemies too, which is cool. This one thing just popped out of the ground at me once, and it was probably like 10 times my size or something, like vertically. It was pretty cool. Yeah. So good stuff.
Did you find the panda that takes you back to your memories when you were a child to fight the your bullies?
No, I don't. Wait.
You gotta find the glider.
No, I know. You told me about the glider. I need to find that. I didn't find that.
He's just randomly out there in the world. So have you ever seen a big panda? It like first off, there'll be like a small cutscene whenever he shows up or when he's nearby, and then it'll like be like, "Hey, do you want to go talk to this guy?" And then you should definitely do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'll keep an eye out for him. One of the things that I thought, besides the spaceship, which is super cool. Have you been to the tree?
Have I been to the big tree?
Yeah.
The center? Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about then with the spaceship?
I've not.
Okay. It's inside.
I must have missed it. Yeah.
Spoiler, it's inside the tree, but it's part of the
Nice.
story. It's part of the story. But one of the other cool things that I think I just found is this. I think it's a new mount, but it's not an animal. It's another machine, and it looks like it looks like some kind of car that can ride on goo or something, which I'm thinking is like those oil things or something.
Okay.
I don't know, but I have to go find parts for it before I can use it. But I think he's going to let me use it, and then I'm super excited to drive that thing around if that's what it is.
I want to get the hand. In the trailer, there was a hand mount that looks like something like it, straight out of the Addams Family.
Where you like ride it or something?
Yes.
That's so crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so much shit in this game that's like weird and cool that I wasn't even aware was out there. I think there's even flying mounts. I think in one of the trailers or gameplay
there's
or something.
Like legendary mounts or whatever like that. Like, just how like there's legendary gear for you to get. There's also legendary mounts that like are like super fast and like you can do like crazy shit on. Like, so like I don't like I said, like this game is like the girl that like in high school you should have dated because she was good for you and then you chose not to, and then you're like, oh man, I really regret that. Well, this is that kind of game. Like it's like if you sleep on this game, you're gonna regret it because it's so charming. If you just kind of tune out just a little bit. And like to me, I didn't care for the story and I don't care for the narrator. I know you're having a different experience. You're enjoying the story more so.
I wasn't until I started actually pursuing it. So, and that's kind of how the entire game has been for me. So I'd encourage you at some point, and I'm sure you will, at some point go start doing the story because I think it kind of opens up and becomes more interesting.
Nice.
Also, I killed a giant monster and had to collect his poo.
I've done that as well too. I enjoy that because they have like a special. I'm sorry. I'm like, I know that I look really weird in the camera angle right now. I'm fucking with a fan that fell over that I kicked in my very small desk area.
Unprofessional.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. So anyways, no, I fought those guys, but they typically have like some like a legendary kind of machine part or something like that I've been able to craft into like a kick-ass weapon.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, just keep hunting. You'll find a bunch of good shit. I keep trying to also go after all like the little puzzles that I find. Like my biggest thing has been the microwave. I finished all the microwaves, and then I'm going back to the laundry machines right now.
Have you found the I forget what they call them, but it's basically a weight bench that you can use to increase your vitality. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also other ones too. Okay, I'm gonna fix this fan because it's pissing me off.
Yeah, no, go ahead, I'll talk. So yeah, basically there's several different types of objects that you can find, and then there's like a little, at least for the bench press one, there's like a little mini game. It's really just like a couple of quick time events. But basically you do it and then it permanently increases one of your stats, and this one is vitality. But I just think that's cool, and also I was hoping that you'd remember the name because it was really funny. I forget what it was. It was like the pump and dump or something like that.
Yeah.
Or the pump something
right.
pump something.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I
know what you're talking about because they have them for other stats as well too. Like there's books that you can read or whatever like that.
I've not found any books.
Yeah.
I found other things. Well, they have those totems that you can find, right, that give you a side point.
Yep.
So those are out there. I guess that's kind of different. But I'm trying to think. I found one. I think I found one that was for something else too, but now I can't remember what it was. Yeah, but
there was one for agility as well. I know that.
And do you remember what it was?
I think it might have been a treadmill.
Okay. Yeah. That makes
sense. Yeah.
And books are, I'm assuming, intelligence.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a charisma one out there.
Who cares? We already established we don't care about charisma. Obviously.
I don't care about bartering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have been selling more items though.
Yeah.
And breaking them down less. Because when you break down like common items and even uncommon, you don't get, you just get like, it doesn't even seem like you get that much stuff from them.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just better to probably sell them and then you can probably just buy any of that crafting stuff you need.
So what I've been doing, this is my pro tip, I guess.
You always say things when I don't have the soundboard up. There we go.
What I do is I sell the common and the uncommon because you can still get a decent amount of cash back for those. Mm-hmm. And then I'll break down sort of the next step up, like the rarer kind of things, like the attachments or the guns or the armor that are either below what I'm wearing or something, because those will give me the resources and it'll give me a lot of resources. So I tend to want to stock up on those because whenever I make a change to my guns, like it takes like 20 of those, like, and also I don't know if you've gotten to the part where there's upgrade benches for both weapons and armor.
Yeah,
that like you can upgrade how like badass they are, and it really just makes them stronger, either damage wise or armor wise. But like you've got to give them like a shit ton of fucking resources.
Okay. No, I was in an area where you know how sometimes when you're in an area, it'll have like a little checklist of things like to complete the area. Well, the only checkbox in this one particular area I was in was basically find a workbench or use the workbench. And I could not find one. Are they typically by like the armor shop and the weapon shop? Or
they
what?
Can be, but they are going to be really hard for you to miss, though. Once I tell you what you're looking for,
oh gosh,
they are the balloon in the sky.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like it's on like a hot air balloon.
I've seen those,
like floating. Yep, and there should be a rope for you to climb up, and then once you get up in there, both those benches are there, and you can easily work on either your weapons.
The benches
or your armor.
are floating in the sky.
Yes, it's so weird.
That is weird. I see. I wouldn't have even thought of that. I've seen them floating, but I just thought, that might be something, but I haven't checked them out yet.
Yep. That's where you want to go.
And I haven't even seen like a rope hanging from anywhere. I feel like if I saw a rope hanging from the sky, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to climb that."
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of like little things you'll find in this game, and like I said, it's a ton of charm. I really would have to, like I said, I'm gonna amend my thing. I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10 or whatever. It's definitely an 8. It's really an solid 8 to me.
Yeah. And maybe even more once it keeps getting patched, and we'll see if they do anything with DLC. And also, I think this is one of those games too where you have to have some faith and put more into it. Don't judge it right away, from the get go. Just like Death Stranding, you got to get like 8 hours in or something like that before you really start to understand what it's all about. Right. And that Biomutant definitely opens up though. Yes.
A lot of fun.
Good game. Check it out.
Yes.
That's not the right soundbite there. Sorry about that. All right. Let's get into it. Take me down to what we call Boner Town.
Yes.
All right. E3 2021, baby. Ooh, it has begun. The Electronic Entertainment Expo 2021 is currently 2 days in. Here is part 1 of our post-show analysis. Let's get it kicked off with the Summer Game Fest kickoff.
Yeah, that was great. That showcase was on Thursday in the afternoon. just an overwhelming amount of first looks, world premieres, and gameplay that showed off. And it was awesome because, I love the fact that Summer Game Fest doesn't like section it off. It's just sort of like, hey, you want to throw something in here? Cool. This is we can give you some time here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not exclusive to any kind of dev. It's not exclusive to any kind of platform. There's something for everything, for everyone there that wants to play something. It's, they got the indie darlings. It's got the AAA phenoms. There's just a wide variety of genres for all different platforms. I saw obviously Switch games, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, mobile games. I mean, everything was there, from, again, sci-fi to fantasy to realism to platforming to shooters. I mean, you couldn't spend an hour and a half and not find something to like about it.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely something there for everybody.
Did you mention musical guests?
I did not yet.
Yes. I'm not going to say, because we'll get into it, but I'm just saying, yeah, something for everybody, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, like you said, we had several, different varieties of musical guests as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Weezer, we had Japanese Breakfast, and we had Sonic the Hedgehog. The orchestra was also extremely entertaining.
Japanese Breakfast, and Japanese that's one person.
Yes, yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I was expecting it to be some kind of group.
I don't know. Is it really just a single person?
I mean, there's only one person on stage, so
it's true.
I thought so, but fact check.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. But go ahead.
So yeah, the Summer Game Fest is Jeff Keighley's thing. So it's not a surprise that it's not one platform or the other. It's everything. It's basically like the Game Awards for the summer. Minus the awards, of course, but it's like, Jeff Keighley puts those on as well. So I think this is interesting. We're really, without getting too far into it while you're doing this fact check, I think it's interesting because we're kind of having these different events converge. So, and kind of against E3 too. It's almost like, especially with the, the virtual only thing, it's very interesting to see IGN doing their, like they call it IGN Expo, and then it's called Summer of Games.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, but it was really just a kickoff, right? But then he also said like there's, he listed like the different press conferences, and you can watch them on that on that same channel.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's like, what's going to happen with this? In the future, who knows?
I mean, I'm excited because I wonder if they're going to open it up just like they, because this came out of the fact that E3 didn't happen last year for the Summer Game Fest. So that's the reason why he put that on. And I think that he got a lot more sponsorship this year. I don't remember if Amazon sponsored it last year or not, but like Amazon was huge. Like this year, their presence was big. There was a lot of Amazon exclusive like benefits and games that they were talking about. They were just giving away. Because of this time, and
I think they even projected Amazon on the floor there a couple of times.
Yep. I think it was also like in the corner, kind of like how we do the main topic or the super joystick in the left or right corner. So so it was definitely. Anyways, just to kind of fact check it, Japanese Breakfast is a band of 4 people, but it's headed by that girl.
Oh,
she's like the main person.
What a diss! Yeah, they weren't there at all.
Nope.
But it's a Gwen Stefani situation.
Korea.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think they were just like, well, we'll send you over with the music and you just sing.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's nice to know. That makes a lot more sense why you'd call a group Japanese Breakfast rather than that's your stage name.
Right.
Sidebar on that, Japanese Breakfast sounds fucking delicious.
Right. I can't imagine.
Some.
Yeah, it sounds like a great bowl of like porridge and noodles and something. I don't know, some fried eggs and.
Spring rolls
sushi
and stuff.
Yeah.
Sushi. Man. Yeah. Give it to me.
Right.
All right.
But anyways, no, I mean, there was so much that was shown off here. I mean, we had, I don't know. What were some of the hype moments for you? I know we have a giant list that we've compiled for our patrons. So, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, I definitely suggest it. But we did put a list that kind of didn't include all the smaller cosmetic things. But for those major games, we did want to put those down there, and some of them have like a little like thing next to them as well too, either like a description or maybe a release date, so that you have kind of a reference to it. But so what were some of your hypes, buddy?
So highlights for me was, and we both agree, I think Wonderlands was pretty cool.
I'm very excited for that.
So this is the Gearbox game that they revealed on this Summer Games Fest kickoff, and then at Gearbox's actual presentation, they basically showed the same trailer.
They did show the exact same trailer.
It would have been kind of cool if they would have, it would have been more meaningful, I guess, or more impactful if they would have saved it for their own thing. But I think they wanted to be highlighted in that Summer Games Fest kickoff.
And they kicked it off, yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that they showed. And I'm interested to see a sort of a fantasy version of Borderlands.
Yes.
Because they did say it's a looter shooter. So, and it looks like they were using magic. I didn't see any kind of melee weapons being used. I would imagine there's probably some to an extent, but, it's probably going to fall.
Oh, they did show guns, though, didn't they? So they'll still be guns.
They totally showed guns, yeah. But then you saw a guy hammering on an anvil, and you would typically, anything you would hammer on an anvil is going to be a weapon, like a melee weapon, like a sword or an axe or something. So I will be very interested to see, if there will be any kind of melee weapons to the game, or, what's going to be included. But it has that Borderlands look to it. Like, if you've
but
ever
with dragons, which is cool.
Exactly.
And they've got goblins and stuff like that. So it's all surrounded in a fantasy, or all wrapped up in like a fantasy package, which is cool. So I think that'll be interesting. I hope it's different enough. It sounds like it will be, especially just with like magic and things like that. So but I'm excited about that. What do you have next here? I think I have this on my list as well.
You do, Sable. So this, I've been talking about this for a long time. I just love the direction. And this is actually, so Japanese Breakfast, she got up there and sang while this game showcased in the background.
Amazing.
Because, they wrote the music for this game.
That's awesome.
Super cool. So I'm very excited to, finally get to play this, and we will be able to. And unfortunately, it comes out on my wife's birthday. Sorry, wife.
You can wait a day.
I know. I will.
Or maybe she'll play it with you.
Possibly, but we'll be in North Carolina at the time too. So,
is it coming out? It's coming out for Switch, isn't it?
It is.
There you go.
I don't know how Wi-Fi is going to work out there, but anyways, I'm just excited to play it. I'm so stoked that it's been delayed so many times. So the fact that it's coming out is going to be just excellent. September 23rd is the date for that. I think it's really interesting because I've not seen the main character walk around really before this trailer. Most times when it's been cutscenes, and then you'll see them riding around on like their hover bike, and so there looked to be like a little bit of a stutter, and I think it's probably just the animation wise, but like there was a little stutter when they get to like their full like gallop or whatever, like while they're walking or whatever like that. There's like a momentary pause, almost kind of like the syncing of their voice is not like linked up. Like there's like a momentary second where like you see the lips move still, and then the voice comes right after, kind of thing. I don't know, but it just looks gorgeous.
I think it looks a lot like, it has a lot of Breath of the Wild vibes, I feel like, with just like a totally like comic book, or like, what would you even call that? The art style. It's like very simplistic, kind of like cell shaded, but just very interesting and still beautiful. Like it looks awesome, but it looks like you can go anywhere and climb anything, kind of like Breath of the Wild. Some of the combat and stuff.
Don't believe there's combat.
Oh, didn't they show combat?
No, they don't. There's no combat at all.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, it's a combatless game. It's literally exploration.
Even better.
And puzzles. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of some of the puzzles looked kind of Zelda-y then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that looks cool. Sable. Wait, I can't wait for that. I'll check it out.
I know you were super stoked on this game. It's the one that you've got mentioned second here.
Yeah, Death Stranding, of course. They showed something, and we kind of all clenched our beeholes for a second there. Like, is this going to be the second one?
I know. I was like I was like, what? The second one already? I was like, geez.
Yeah, and I guess in fairness, you did that. And I actually, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, this must be the PS5 version, like the PS5 upgrade I've been wanting. Yeah. Because I still own the game. I love it. I would buy it again to support it because I love the game. I haven't. But I was hoping that they do like a free PS5 upgrade. And then, of course, these dicks come out, and this is a director's cut. So I'm not very confident that they're going to give me an upgrade path, although I'm really hoping they do. It's been out for a few years, so they could easily just say, yeah, this is the director's cut. It's the PS5 version. So you have to, pay full price for it. But I'm really hoping they give me like a $10 or $20 upgrade path so I can play it on PS5. Because if the PS5 version does not have the adaptive trigger support and the haptic feedback support, then it really missed
so
the
much
mark.
sense for the packaging.
Yes,
I mean, like,
and the balance and everything. I mean, it's perfect. The first time I tried the DualSense controller for PS5, I thought, man, I want to play Death Stranding with this. This is perfect for Death Stranding. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping. But they did show like a cool little scene that was like, it looked like a stealth section. And,
right, like a Metal Gear Solid.
Well, and they did like a cool nod to Metal Gear Solid because he took a box off of the just off of like a wall or whatever, and he dumped everything out of it, and he got in it, just like Metal Gear Solid, where he hides in a box, and he got in it, and he kind of looked around, and he's like, "Nah, this isn't gonna work." And then he put it back. But I thought that was like a cool little nod.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
hopefully I don't have to pay full price for it.
Right, for
but
sure.
I would.
I'm excited to see like what was cut from it. It's almost like the Schneider cut of a Kojima game.
Yeah, it'd be
right?
interesting. Yeah, right. I'm sure it's probably not that. It's probably just some extra missions or something. I don't know. Or maybe they added
no way to repackage it. Yeah, I don't know.
They might have just added stuff after the game was done.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see. What else you got here?
Solar Ash. Actually, that looks super cool. It actually reminded me of a mixture of Gravity Rush and also Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh.
So this is like, there was a character that was like running around, and like I want to say that she was like being shot at by like this giant like whale dragon thing, and she was like running around like different columns and then like ran up a hill, and then at the end of it she jumped onto the back of this dragon and it had different platforms on it too, which was really cool. Like it reminded me exactly like Shadow of Colossus while they were like trying to traverse the Colossus itself.
Love it.
Yeah, so like super into this game. Like it looked really great, very stylized. The black is really deep in this game. I don't know how best to say that, but like the color saturation was just, it's like neon, like almost like Technicolor. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was one that I'm really looking forward to checking out.
I'm sure that I thought the same when I saw the trailer, but there's so many games. It's insane. I mean, even just at this event, at the Summer Game Fest kickoff, they showed so many world premieres, like games that you've never seen. In addition to a bunch of other games, but there was still a bunch of exclusive reveals here. And then, package that with all the other conferences we're going to talk about within the first 2 days. And something that's called Solar Ash, or let me see, I could pick out a few. Planet of Lana, Tales of Arise, House of Ashes. Like all of these names are just like bleeding together, and it's hard for me sometimes to remember like, oh, this is that particular game. Which is why I really wish that we could have gotten the video stream here so we could actually just go through them. But next time, maybe next week we'll be able to get the Nintendo one at least, and the indie.
This one would have been more
games.
challenging because like we'd have to try to figure out a way to consolidate an hour and a half worth of video into like a 20-minute segment.
Well, it would be me fast forwarding a lot,
right? Yeah.
While we talk about it. But at least I got to queued up some of the things. That's okay.
I really was impressed with they had a few guest celebrities there too. So they had Tiny Tina there for Wonderlands. And they had the actress that voices Tiny Tina. And
she's not that tiny.
No, she's not. She's also I didn't realize that. I didn't know who she was until she got on stage, and then I was like, oh, that's she plays as a game tester in Mythic Quest. On Apple TV. Yeah. Nice. So she's on that show, which is really great. And then they also had the villain for Far Cry 6.
Yes. Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That's not his name. That's his name in Breaking Bad.
No, it was like, oh goodness. I had it here memorized, and obviously my memory's fucked up right now.
I just call them by their character names. Their most famous character names.
His name is going to be Anton in the game, so I'm actually really excited for that. But then they also had Jeff Goldblum, to talk about anot's game that you were really excited about.
What an awesome segue, Justin. Have you been practicing?
I'm trying my best.
my next highlight, which just real quick because it was mostly like cinematic, but they did reveal Jurassic World Evolution 2, which is cool. So I talked about that a few weeks ago, Jurassic World Evolution, the first one, which I played on Game Pass weeks and weeks ago, and I even showed some video of it on the show. But I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I didn't finish it, but that's one of those games. It's like SimCity or something. Like I'll just play it until I get kind of bored, and maybe I'll revisit it at some point. But I did enjoy it for quite a long time. I mean, I probably put in, I don't know, over 10 hours in it, if not more. Yeah, probably maybe even 15.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, from your video, I even went out like that night and bought that game.
Oh, did you?
I was like, yeah, dude, I was like super stoked on it. And I was like, that looks so cool. And I've not played a sim kind of creation game like that in such a long time. I was like, I want to play that game. And then this one came out and I'm like, okay. At first I thought it might have been Ark. Like I thought it was like the new Ark game that's coming out. Cause I was like, crazy. Okay, there's dinosaurs and they look like they're running free. And it also looks like there's like some cities that have been like kind of taken over by dinosaurs that are running free. So it's like, maybe this is Ark. Hey, just want to give a quick shout out. Hey, Power, how's it going, buddy? I see that you're up in the chat, buddy. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep, thanks for joining us. Get in on the conversation. You too can join us. Just jump on Twitch. Every Sunday, usually we record around 10. Today it's a little later because we had some press conferences to watch. But we love to hear from you guys, so jump in and be part of the show. So I'm excited to see what they do with Jurassic World Evolution 2. There were some really interesting things that they did with the first one, and I hope that they take that and push it even further. It would be really neat to see like a human walking, like a first-person mode. They have that in the first game where you can like, you can be in a car or you can fly the helicopter and stuff like that. But it would be kind of neat, I think, to just like get out and like have a tranquilizer gun and like go on foot.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, you have a tranquilizer gun in both the helicopter right? And, well, yeah, and I guess in the Jeep you have like a healing, like you can't go up to the dinosaur and like stick it with a needle, I guess. So they have like a gun that shoots like vaccines at dinosaurs. Or medicine, awesome. I guess, whatever it is. But I'm interested to see what they do with it. But yeah, this was basically just a teaser, but it did let us reconnect with Jeff Goldblum, which is nice. Yeah. He's getting crazier and crazier every time we see him, it seems.
You didn't watch any of E3 Power? That's so crazy, dude. It's so like that. Really, honestly, just all you have to do is tune in for Microsoft. That's all you really need to tune in for. But thank you for tuning into this show because we're gonna.
See, I was gonna say he's like, I don't even need to watch it. I'm just gonna hear these guys talk about it, and that'll be good enough for me. But
and
it's
this
not.
Is part one.
You have to see the videos.
Yes, the videos. We can't sell it.
Unless you hate Microsoft, I would go check out their conference because it was, spoiler alert, the best so far. It was
bangarang.
Yeah, but we'll get into that pretty soon here.
Once I watched that trailer with Jeff Goldblum from that when he was announcing it, I was like, this guy is just crazy. Like he just okay. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, he said I would love to play Dungeons and Dragons with him. Like I would love to like have him be the dungeon master. And I was like,
he do something like that recently? I thought I heard that he had like sat in or like subbed for somebody.
I'm sure he probably has. I mean, the guy is just so out there, and but I was like, he seems like he's so intelligent and has this crazy vocabulary. I was like, you need a dictionary. Number one, when playing with him, and number two, he would have to be like on a very strict script because he would be so hard to like rope back in. He's almost like he reminds me of a jazz musician because he like could just like he's maybe not be the cup of tea for everybody, but he would just go off on his own tangent and he just would fucking dominate. And then my friend was like, he plays jazz, he plays piano in a jazz band, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
That makes sense.
Of course he fucking would, right?
Well, okay, so here you go. Just so you know, actor Jeff Goldblum is joining the cast of a fan-made Dungeons and Dragons podcast called Dark Dice.
Okay,
and he there's an awesome image of him as like a elf, like an elvish wizard kind of looking thing. So do a Google search of Jeff Goldblum Dungeons and Dragons, and it's like the first article on Polygon. You can check it out. And I think it already occurred because it was from April. So
cool. I can't wait to tune in. I'm gonna actually check that out.
I bet it's great.
I'm sure it probably is. Now I am also really excited for the Tales. So Tales of Arise is from I believe it's Bandai Namco. Now I don't think it's Capcom. I think it's now I'm
fact checking
myself. Yeah, right. Second guessing myself. I'm almost like 100% sure. Tales of Arise.
I'm already
and
looking it up.
is,
okay.
Boom. That is
It's Bandai Namco.
Bandai.
You were right the
Okay, I
first
was
time.
right. Yes. All right. So,
Gotta
anyways,
trust your gut.
yeah, right.
If you take anything away from this show today, trust your gut.
trust your stomach. I'm actually really excited for this game. I love the Tales games. They're very engaging. The storyline's always typically really good. It borderlines on being, almost dark enough to be dark, but it stays balanced. It's really good. And this has been a series that have been going on for quite some time, and any trailer that's shown off, Tales recently has just been like amazing. So I'm really excited about that. That one I believe comes out in September of this year as well. So there's actually a few games that are coming out here, and actually a lot of these games that showed up at this festival, at this kickoff event, are slotted for either like the throughout the rest of this year, well, over the next 6 months, or right into 2022. So like most of these games were not like hey, this is like way out in the future, like 2023 or something like that. This is like, hey, you're gonna have this within the next like 8 months. 8 to 12 months.
In fairness, I don't think we've seen any 2023 dates yet, which is
there
nice.
was one from Microsoft. There was, but not in this show. Not in this show. Was not there. Yeah, which is great. Good. What about you, buddy? What else looked good for you?
Let's see. Planet of Lana actually I thought looked really cool. It's really pretty. It's like a side scroller puzzle. Like I'm thinking like a Metroidvania kind of thing. It reminded me of Ori and the Blind Forest.
It's all hand painted, which was
all
like
hand
beautiful.
painted. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. So I love that kind of thing. So yeah, hope I'll be checking that out for sure. Planet of Lana.
And it was such a strange name too. My dog's name is Alana.
Oh, that's adorable.
Well, we named our dogs after characters from TV shows that we both love. So Lana was Lana Lang from Smallville.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Also, Lana spelled backwards is anal, so it could be Planet of Anal.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh man.
On a completely separate note, Tunic looks great. It looks like a cartoony, like chibi, like Zelda, like the recent Zelda game that they remade. What is
that?
That
does look awesome. That's the one that looks like you're talking about Link's Awakening?
Thank you. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly.
So this looks like they totally were like, it looks like a total love letter, which I've been told not to use that term on the show by one of our patrons, Nick. So don't quit Patreon, please.
Don't at me, bro.
But no, I mean it does look like that because it basically looks like Link if he were a fox.
Exactly.
And like even the enemies look similar.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing a green tunic.
Probably. And he gets the very first thing he gets is a stick, so it's not a wooden sword, but it's close enough. And then later he gets a sword. Yeah, and some of the enemies look just like Zelda enemies. So, but that's fine. It looks cool, and I think it's made in Unreal, so it looks like it's isometric, but it's got like this kind of like tangible quality to it, where it almost looks like a diorama or something like that. Actually, exactly like Link's Awakening, the remake that they just did. So yeah. Sure. It's fine.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah. They did a showcase of Dark Alliance. That was actually something that I'm so excited for. It comes out here next week. I'm like so Jones. Like that'll be the next game that I'm going to be like all in on.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I love the Dark Alliance games from like the early 2000s. So like this is my jam, bro. Like this is that series in Dungeons and Dragons is so much fun. I'm so excited to play that. And they did like 4 people playing the game at once, and it was funny because they had like a comedian, a musician, they had the game creator, like the head director playing it, and the head director died, and they were like, "Oh, I look like such a noob because I fucking died on my own game."
In his own game, yeah.
So I'm super stoked for that. And then I know that they had a trailer there for a game that you just recently gameflied, right?
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, which it was already out, right? At that point?
No, not on Thursday. I think it came out Friday.
It didn't come out on Tuesday. Oh, you're right, it did. Yeah, it came out on the 11th. So
came out on a weird day.
Yeah. But yeah, I did get it from GameFly. It's on its way. It may even be here already. I need to check my mailbox. But yeah, I'm super excited about Ratchet and Clank, and hopefully I can play it within the next day or two and talk about it next week, maybe.
Hell yeah, I can't wait to hear about it.
Word.
And then the fucking show stealing. Like I like. Okay, so for you listening on,
he's very excited.
Yeah, for you listening in on the podcast, I'm sorry you won't be able to see this, but here, I literally put like a 5-page notepad together for this for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Elden Ring, baby. Like I was like, holy fuck, this game. And it's not even that far out. Like we're talking 7 months from now, and that game is going to be fucking out. And
highly anticipated.
Oh my god, it looks so good. It was so fucking sexy. Like, woo! So much better than just like the 12-second trailer we got I think 6 months ago or 7 months ago. Maybe it was even at last E3 where it was just like the hand that was like held up by other hands, and then you're like, oh, what is this game all about?
This is the first proper trailer, right?
Yeah,
where they actually show gameplay.
Trailer. Yep.
Okay,
no gameplay.
They didn't show any gameplay?
I think it was just a trailer. It was just a regular trailer.
But it was in engine though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it looks insane. Like, it definitely looks next gen, which is awesome. I'm into that. I'm into the whole thing. It looks awesome and amazing and super weird and crazy, and dark and like evil, and it looks really, really good. My only speculation on this that worries me a little bit is the From Software Dick Hammer.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to be a Dick Hammer game.
I don't know if I'll be able to get into it, which is unfortunate. I mean, I know that like that's their thing, like to make it difficult, but it's to a point where it's like not enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
And you know, I've said this on the show before, but in particular for From Software games, they don't need to make them easier necessarily, but if they can make it so you don't have to backtrack so you don't have to start so far back.
Right.
Then I'd be okay with it, because I hate playing the same thing over and over and over and over again, which is basically the entire mantra for From Software, because they want you to play everything over and over and over again, and that's what makes it hard. It's not really that it's hard per se.
It's time consuming, because then
you have to learn all of the little movements and stuff. I compare it to Mega Man all the time, because I never got in. You know, I loved playing Mega Man. I beat some of the bosses, but I almost never got to Dr. Wily, because you just had to play the same level over and over and over again. It was trial and error until you realize, okay, you programmed your brain, like, I have to jump here, I have to shoot this thing's going to fly out and try to knock me off, so I have to duck or whatever. And to me, it's just like, that's too much for me.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think that like it should dial it in just before the boss. Like there should be like a boss save point. Like if you get to that point, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of that level or something, because it wastes so much time. Plus, if you're trying to like learn that, you have to like hold that in your memory of how you died.
Yeah.
Right. And you may have to go through 20-30 minutes of just like that level before you get back to that boss to then apply that one little memory. And then you die a different way. And then you've got to go through that same level again, another 20-30 minutes, and hold both those memories. And by the end of it, you're like, oh, I just spent like 7 hours on one level. And like, that doesn't seem really super rewarding. Like it shouldn't be that punishing.
But when you do beat it, then it is. And I guess that's the whole point. But to me, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't have enough time in my life for that kind of shit
anymore. Yeah, maybe when I was younger, then I might have done something like that. But but I didn't, because I never, like I said, I didn't really get into Mega Man for that reason. I really like Mega Man X. That I felt was a little bit different, but we're not talking about that today. We'll talk about Capcom this week.
Yeah, right, for sure. I'm sure there's probably going to be a Mega Man game.
We got a lot of stuff to cover. So Elden Dick Hammer, as I'm calling it, was the major announcement from the Summer Game Fest kickoff. So let's keep it going. The actual first day of E3 was yesterday, and that kicked off with Ubisoft Forward. Yep. So what do we see here?
So we saw a few iterations of Rainbow Six. So we had Rainbow Six Extraction, which actually used to be was named Quarantine, but because of the pandemic, they renamed it to Extraction.
Whoops.
Yeah, right. So this is going to be a co-op tactical shooter that's going to essentially pit players against sort of like these alien like creatures with like black mold. It's really interesting.
That's very different for Rainbow Six, because they've never done anything supernatural, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big kind of first-person shooter to begin with. I mean, with the exception of a few games, but like I've never actually dabbled in any of the Rainbow Six games. Like I'm not.
They're really good, actually. We used to get into them all the time. I haven't been in a while, but it's not so much a first-person shooter as it is a tactical co-op shooter, as you mentioned. Yeah. But it's very different, because you actually have to use tactics. You don't just run in, and it's not a run and gun. Like you don't just go in there and shoot things. So it's actually kind of cool. You get tactical things, and you have a team, and you really have to work together and communicate to be able to, beat the level. So I think it's interesting that they're adding in the supernatural element.
Yeah, and then I mean that is what they showed off, was just like that tactical aspect of the game where everyone was working and they all had their different positions that they were using different tech or whatever like that to sort of outmaneuver these alien things. It was actually really cool. They actually one of the guys was brought in like a hologram or something like that, and then the alien like creature things like attacked the hologram, and everyone ran up on them and just like gunned them all down.
That's all it takes to trick an alien.
Yeah.
Is a hologram.
Right.
Stupid aliens.
And then so right after that they actually previewed a really interesting new subscription, which is going to be Rocksmith Plus.
Yes, this was really cool. I was very interested in this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I played Rocksmith. It's still something that I've got, that I bought the physical game for, with the adaption, with the controller that you can just, with the
1/4-inch guitar cable adapter. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that, and it sounds like with the new iteration and right now they're only talking PC, so we don't know if it's coming to Xbox. We don't know if it's coming to.
They said phones too.
Right, but I think they're using the phones as
a microphone?
As microphones. Yeah, that's what they were using the phones for.
Oh, I thought you could play it on, or I thought you could actually like log in on your phone or something.
No, I think that you can pair it. Like you would log in like through an app or something like that on your phone, and it would use the microphone, and then you would still use your computer. So like everybody that was playing it in that little trailer, they were using a computer still, but like again, it doesn't show if it was also going to come to PlayStation or Xbox.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's less compelling then.
I know, but it is really cool that they're getting sort of rid of that sort of hookup because you can use your phone and it'll be able to. Cool. Yeah. So now I am concerned though, because again, the original Rocksmith game came with about 60 or so assorted songs from different genres of pop to punk to rock to metal to funk and reggae. So there's a lot of there, and there was like oldies, there was modern stuff. So there's a lot that came with the original game, but there was thousands of DLC like single tracks that you could purchase,
right?
Much like Rock Band and everything else.
Or
and
iTunes, right? Wasn't it like, was it per song or was it like a package of songs?
There were packages of songs for artists. Sometimes they didn't have them at all.
Are we talking like a couple of bucks for a song, or are we talking about like
yes, $3 a song?
Okay.
Yeah, so it did come with like, again, so if there was like any kind of special rig that they like the artist was using, like a special pedal or something like that, it came part of that package too. So like you got the sound of their guitars and their bass, and so you got the lead, you got the rhythm, and you also got bass tracks all for that $3, which is nice. But hopefully you just like that song enough, because you could spend a good amount of money between the thousands of songs that they have there. So my biggest concern,
I'd say 3,000.
Yeah, right.
Probably around $3,000 there.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, I want to say they've got like something like 7,000 songs or something. It's crazy. It's a huge library. But one thing I will say though, that I really hope that, because it sounds like this is a subscription, so this is something that you pay for monthly. It doesn't sound like it's a new game necessarily, or it sort of sounds like you're not gonna have to buy a base game for this. But my biggest concern would be that if you're paying the subscription and you're getting this library of songs, but then let's say there's like a song that you want to play, and it's maybe not part of the subscription, and then there's microtransactions, or
can't imagine that they would do that. I mean, of course anything's possible, but
this
to me
Ubisoft,
that would be
though?
That's true. It is Ubisoft.
For Assassin's Creed, they made it so that you could pay like $9 and get double experience and double like gold.
Can you pay $9 to get good at guitar? Because that'd be pretty sweet. I would do that. No,
but I'm just saying, like, I what I don't want to see is this be like a cash, crazy, cow thing or whatever like that. Like I said, they put DLC like for skins for your boat and for your horse in Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
And no one is going to see that shit. Like, unless you are twitching, you're not going to, no one is ever going to see your skin that you spent. Yeah, right. You'll see it for a very limited amount of time, but you're going to spend, you're going to spend $20 on a skin, and it just doesn't seem like it's.
Yeah. So Ubisoft is they've been kind of
notorious,
icky at that, I guess.
Yeah.
But which is such a stupid way to say it. Sorry, but they've just been kind of slimy, I guess, about some of that stuff. But I feel like, okay, so a subscription. I don't see how they would possibly sell that to people like, oh yeah, it's a subscription service, and you can also buy additional games, especially when things like today exist, like Spotify, where you just pay a subscription and you get unlimited access to all the songs and things. And also they've been there before. So they've tried the other model where they sell you the $60 game and you get a chunk of songs and then you can buy all the additional songs a la carte.
Right.
I can't imagine having already done that and gone that way and then choosing to change it to subscription, that they would then say, well, it's a subscription, but you also have to buy these other, songs. My opinion is they're not going to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, what I was also thinking too is like they're like just like a subscription with PlayStation. So like there's new games that show up on your Plus, when you've got Game Plus, or like on Game Pass. Some games fade in, some games fade out.
That's true.
And so it could be like a Netflix kind of thing where some tracks are there, maybe there's like a core 30 or 40 tracks that are always going to be there. And then they're always adding in some new stuff and then taking away some old stuff as well, too.
That's okay also, as long as it's like Netflix in that you don't have the option or you can't buy other songs. Although, that kind of sucks too, because if you are working on a song and it's going to go away, or if you really like a song, then you should be able to keep it. So to me, it seems like a Spotify situation. Like if Spotify can do it, why can't these guys do it? And I would hope that it would look something like that.
Yeah.
But let's not go down the rabbit hole any longer on it. We'll wait and see what they actually do.
Yeah, we've got a lot of shit to go through.
Rock Band or Rocksmith Plus seems interesting. So we'll check it out.
They had the beta going out. So if you're interested in, checking out the beta, you definitely can just go to Rocksmith and you can their website and you can sign up for it. Maybe you'll get lucky. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, you can come on the show. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, this looked interesting. Riders Republic. So I think we've talked about this game before, right? So basically, it's like it's kind of like an open world lobby, at least, where you can like meet up with people, and it's all these different sports. So we've seen stuff like this before with like Steep, which is like winter sports, but this has downhill mountain biking, and does it have snowboarding too? I thought I saw snowboards.
It's got snowboarding, skateboarding, BMX.
It
also has
like jetpack things.
Yeah. It had like wind glide. I don't know if those are like suits or like what kind of sport that is, but like those wing gliding suits or whatever.
But they definitely
like that.
had rockets on it.
Yeah, well, those were a separate suit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There were two suits. There was one that had like the wings to it, and there's one that actually had like little rockets,
little wings, like it was a little plane that you put on your back. But yeah, so then there's all these different races and challenges and stuff that you can do. Together, and it seems kind of cool. And then you had this funny anecdote here.
Yeah, there was a guy that was literally like on a mountain bike in the middle of a canyon, and he had like a prospector's kind of like gold digging kind of kit on his back. Like there was like there was just a bunch of tools on his back, and he literally looked like Jay Schmed
from the show.
From the show. Yeah, like glasses and beard and hat and all. Like I was like, did Schmed do a guest appearance for this game?
I wish we had that to put up here, but I think I'll try to post it on our social media later so we can see it. It's really funny.
Have you seen this character?
It looks exactly like him.
It really does. I was actually really excited because they also debuted a little preview of sort of some of the game modes too with that. So there's the 6v6 where it's a team trick and score attack. So like instead of just going 1 against 1, like in most games, like even in Tony Hawk, like you can only just do 1 versus 1. And then there's a leaderboard, obviously, but if you wanted to just play with your buddy, like it was just 1 versus 1. This is a 6v6 team competition with tricks and scores. So I'm really excited about that. Like, I think that's going to be super cool, where you can get a giant squad of people to play this game against another giant squad of people.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's brand new. So I don't know. I'm pretty stoked on that. So that was Riders. And then they moved on to talk about Rainbow Six Siege. And it was kind of
still around?
It is still around.
That's
They're
crazy.
Still supporting it. Yeah. So there's some quality of life changes coming to the game here very soon. There's also going to be new content added here. And they were even going to bring in crossplay, which is going to come next year.
Nice.
So this game is getting super supported. So if you're a fan of the Rainbow Six Siege, this will probably make you really happy. A lot of upcoming changes and some new content for you, and then again being able to play with friends that are maybe locked onto other consoles. So
that's awesome. Cool. Very important. Yeah. Also, new content coming to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah. Called Siege of Paris.
Yeah, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks cool. I still haven't played the actual base game yet. I need to check that out at some point from GameFly, hopefully. Because I really like Assassin's Creed in general.
I actually picked that up here because it was on sale recently with the season pass. So I also have access to the Druids section that just came out too, where he explores Ireland, and I'll also get the one where they take on the castle in Paris.
Awesome. That's super
I'll
cool.
let you know.
Yeah, you'll have to give us the rundown on that then.
For sure.
But yeah, it's good to see him continuing to support this game. Even what did it just come out last year, right?
Yeah, it came out last year with the new consoles. So it was on the 4 and the 5 and the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S.
That's right.
And so normally they stop kind of supporting these, the Assassin's Creed games like sort of every other year. So like next year technically would be a dead year because they'd be working on the next iteration. But they came out and said, hey, we're going to be, putting new expansions out for this game even through next year. So that's super, I mean, to me, that's awesome that they're going to continue to support this game because of how great of the story it is. They're even adding that same kind of discovery tour that they brought into the Egyptian game for Origins, where you could, explore sort of that time period as well, too, of the Viking Age. And that's going to be coming this fall.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Then we got a little film preview of Werewolves Within. It looked pretty funny.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say about that, but it was cool. Check out the trailer.
These video game adaptations of movies, I'm hopeful that they'll, really pay off because I want them to, because I don't want them to suck and then everyone's like, let's not do this anymore. They also, obviously, part of Ubisoft and who makes the show is Mythic Quest. So Mythic Quest also had a small blurb there about sort of a recap of season 2. That's what they're currently shooting right now or currently releasing. And I didn't put that in the notes because it was part of that same section. But yeah, no, that should be pretty interesting.
It's got a really good cast too, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And then they showcased, I think, kind of like their main game for this year is Far Cry 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's another great trailer, featuring Anton, the guy that plays Gus from
Breaking Bad. Yes.
Yeah, so it's just another example of his ruthlessness. And they also previewed a season pass mode where you'll be able to play as the villains that were from the previous Far Cry game. So you'll be able to play as like Jacob, the father of that cult in Montana.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and then you'll also be able to play as like the guy that had the Mohawk from Far Cry 3.
Nice.
And then the British guy from you'll get to play all the villains, which is super like different, and I'm really all about that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And those are usually like the biggest characters in these games. Is that these games are so centric around, or at least the advertising and like the story and in general is they push these villains and they're terrible people. So it seems kind of cool. You can play them.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. So now one game that I never really got into when it first came out was Mario and Rabbids. So they announced the sequel, Sparks of Hope. This does look a little bit more action RPG rather than the original sort of tactical version of Mario and Rabbids, but it's still like when I look at it, I'm like, I don't want to play a game with like funky looking characters. Like just give me a Mario game and it could be a tactical shooter. I'd be fine with that too.
Well, they can't because it's Ubisoft, so they have to throw in the Rabbids.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Nintendo would be making it, I guess.
Right.
But I did play the first one, Mario and Rabbids. I forget, something Kingdom or whatever. And it was all right. It was pretty good, actually. I think I got about maybe halfway into it, and I didn't finish it. But they paid homage to Mario really well, and it was really neat to be able to see all the different Mario items and the characters, and the story was kind of very inspired by normal Mario games, with the princess getting captured and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I liked it. This definitely looks more interesting to me because I agree. I like the action RPG thing a lot more. To me, this looked a lot more like Mario RPG, except well, actually not Mario RPG, I guess, because that's not action-y. But, well, kind of. There's like an element in Mario RPG where you can like press extra buttons to do more damage and stuff like that. But no, in this, you're actually physically moving around in an area, like it looks like within like a movement circle.
It doesn't look like it's so grid-based.
Yeah, because the other one is exactly that. It's a normal, your typical tactical RPG where you have certain, it's on a grid and you can only move a certain number of spaces, and your attacks go either in like a straight line or like an X or all these different things, which was kind of cool for Mario, because there hadn't we didn't really have anything like that before. But that's a welcome change to me. I'm interested to see how they do that. That area, it looks like you can kind of run around and attack someone within that area, as opposed to the grid. So I probably see if I can get it from GameFly, if nothing else is out there at that time that I want to play. But I also thought it was funny because Nintendo leaked it on their own website like a day before. So everyone was talking about it before the actual reveal at the press conference. Poor Ubisoft. They had the Game Fest showing off some of their stuff, and Nintendo leaked their own game.
But the one thing that kind of caught everybody by surprise.
This was a surprise.
The final one is the way they ended it with which was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Yeah,
it did look interesting. Very, very pretty.
It's honestly no idea what this even game is. Is it going to be open world? Will you start off as a young Na'vi that you're part of the people there, or will it be kind of like the movie where you start off as a soldier and you use a Neuralink to like use an artificial body?
They better let you play both sides, because if they don't, that's bullshit.
Right. It would be interesting to see what this game is going to look like. The only thing that we really do know about this game is it's going to be coming out in 2022. And I believe that's when the new movie is supposed to be coming out as well, too. So I think they're supposed to go hand in hand. And that, if that's going to sort of take off, like if Avatar gets greenlit as sort of like this new series, movie-wise, then we could be seeing more of the types of these games, depending on how successful it is, at launch. This could be a new IP that's just reoccurring.
Yeah, the graphics were definitely really good, so I'm excited to see what kind of gameplay it is. And if it's open world, that seems to me like that would be the most compelling.
Right.
And they certainly made it seem like that, because they definitely were showcasing the openness of the world.
Right. And the flying of the dragon things or whatever like that, the giant moth motherfuckers. I don't know what they're called, but dude, it's super cool.
It could end up being very like narrative driven, though, depending on how how closely tied to the movie it is. So it'd be interesting to see. But we'll find out.
Part of our prediction, though. Yeah, part of our prediction for Ubisoft, though, was they were going to announce one surprise game that would be next gen or PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and S generation without the sort of backwards compatibility of the 4 or the.
Did they say this is definitely next gen only?
Yeah, this is definitely on next gen only. That's when they put the trailer at the very end where it said 2022. It did not have the 4 and it did not have Xbox One attached to it all. It only had the next gen.
Look at us. We got something right.
We got it. We got something.
We probably got a few more. We don't usually go through and fact check our predictions, but that might be kind of fun to do.
I think the only other thing that I think was really surprising was that Rocksmith Plus subscription. I think those are the two that really came out as being.
I was kind of surprised about the Mario Plus Rabbids, aside from the fact that Nintendo leaked it the day before. But
true.
But I wasn't really. That wasn't even on my radar. I didn't know that it did that well. But apparently, that series has done really well so far. So makes sense. All right, moving on to a very lackluster performance. Gearbox.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
I do feel like they were probably hurt by the fact that they kind of blew their nut on Thursday with the Summer Game Fest. And so, this was roughly about 25 minutes long, and they spent about 15 minutes just showing the movie.
No, you mean talking about the movie.
Right, talking about the movie. They were on set, and they talked to Kevin Hart, and they showed one prop gun with the director, and they had a couple of the producers, and they only talked to the guy producer. They didn't even talk to the girl producer at all. I was like, this is those bastards. Like, get some perspective, bro.
Yeah, well, and the prop wasn't even like an actual movie prop. Like for a detailed one, it was actually for I think it was a stunt prop.
Yeah,
he was saying too. So.
And he was wearing it too at the end when they cut back to them right after the Kevin Hart thing.
He had a holster with it in there. It actually looked better in the holster, I think. But,
it really did, kind of.
I mean, it was still cool, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I like that kind of behind the scenes thing, but I also didn't realize it was going to be more than half of the presentation.
Right.
It would have been fine being 15 minutes if they had, another 45 minutes maybe at least of content to show. But yeah, I think they kind of, put all their eggs in one basket with showing the Tiny Tina game at the Summer Game Fest.
And Tribes of Midgard. They showed both brand new games that they're launching that were, they didn't even mention anything about Borderlands 3 at all. Like there wasn't any kind of like DLC that they were possibly going to bring into it. There wasn't any kind of like update to the
I
game.
said something about that in one of my predictions, I think. I said they weren't going to show anything with Borderlands.
I figured they'd at least give like maybe like a patch or something or like an expansion.
A next-gen upgrade.
Something of that nature. Like I figured something would be there for Borderlands 3, but we got absolutely nothing. And we got a fantasy version of Borderlands, and we got Tribes of Midgard. And again, both those were showcased on Thursday.
That was I wonder if they weren't planning on doing that, and then they ended up saying at the last minute, like, oh, put it in there. Because if you took those two things out of the presentation, it was basically a behind the scenes for the Gearbox or for the Borderlands movie. Which didn't really show anything.
Right.
Also,
they didn't even like talk about it. It was like they were like trying to describe like the color blue without saying the color blue. It was so weird. Like it was like they couldn't share anything. Like people are blurred out. Like they had like animated characters that were just a cartoon that was just standing in the middle of the room. It was really weird.
They showed all of the characters in shadow.
Yes, in shadow.
Individually, and then all together standing in a line. So you can see like the outlines of them.
Yeah.
But why not take that opportunity to show us at least something visual from the movie? Yeah. Right? Like, I don't know.
But we did see Homeworld 3, which was something that we talked about last week as well. There was 3 sort of mini teases, but it was just like all they kept saying was that it was in production, and then there'd be like someone talking about like how successful Homeworld has been and how many awards it won when Homeworld 1 first released. And I was like, are you just trying to like, I don't know, like it was super hype for no reason. Like I was like, okay guys, like let's tone it down. Show me something worthwhile that I can be excited about.
Let the game speak for itself.
Right. And then they showed Godfall, which was getting a downgrade to the
That's
PlayStation
not something
4.
You want to advertise.
Right. And so that one first launched with PlayStation 5 when that first came out, and it is exclusive to PlayStation. And so I wonder if they just didn't get enough sales, so they're like, oh well, we're gonna go and optimize it so that it can run on PlayStation 4, and then they're gonna put in some new content, so that'll be available August 10th. But really, that was the only thing that they showed in their 25 minutes. That was anything that I guess would be considered new.
An old game that's getting downgraded for last gen. Like that's kind of sad. And it's funny. I think I saw a headline in my game news feed that said something about nobody played Godfall on PS5, so Gearbox is downgrading it and re-releasing it for PS4.
Yeah, it was kind of a generic, like it was kind of a generic game that like the reason why we talked about Metro Exodus not getting a sequel is because it kind of got like a 6 and a 7. Like it wasn't like anything.
Well, Metro's got a ton. That's a series though. Metro has.
No, I'm sorry. What was the one that we talked about where the director lashed out at people and was like, you shouldn't buy games that like on sale.
That dick guy. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot what game it was.
I guess maybe it wasn't Metro Exodus.
It wasn't that. I know that.
I don't know.
You have to go back and listen to one of our previous shows to find out.
We can't remember. Like that's how memorable that guy was in their studio, right?
After he said that, I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not going to play it anyways."
So Gearbox was kind of a big letdown. What did you think of Devolver though? We did get a little bit of Devolver this year. They had about 45 minutes.
I always loved the Devolver, digital press conference things or streams as they've become. And so about 4 years ago, I think they went digital when Nintendo did. So Nintendo didn't drop out of E3, but they did drop out of the press conference circuit. Yeah. And one could say that might have been because of their reaction to the Wii U press conference, because I'm pretty sure that was the last one that they did before they went digital, and it wasn't good. People were confused, and they didn't understand if it was an upgrade. I wasn't. I understood, but a lot of people didn't respond well to that. So then they went digital. Well, Devolver then did that too, because they never really did a press conference, I don't think. But I might be wrong about that. But so anyways, they started doing like a digital thing too, kind of mocking Nintendo.
Right.
And then they've been doing it ever since. And their shit is always just off the wall, crazy. Schmidt always likes to say that he feels like he's on acid when he's watching them, because they're just so weird and crazy and gory and disturbing, but in like a
this
funny...
was nothing like that,
but
though.
in a funny way. No, a little bit. But so that's what I was going to say, was I was actually a little disappointed because over the years they've actually kept a narrative going through these streams, and this one they kind of cut that off. They acknowledged it because at the beginning it was like a pitch meeting for like what this should be, what this presentation should be. I mean, it's all joking, of course, but or scripted rather. But they kind of just were like, yeah, nobody wants to see that anymore, so we're going to do something else. And then it kind of went into this whole, like, we're going to start a subscription service, which is why it's the thing was, the presentation was called Devolver Max Pass Plus, aka Devolver Forwarder, which I think was a shot at Ubisoft.
Right. And then there was also like the premium pass, like it would like whisper like premium purchase, like something
premium
like
purchase. Like you have the subscription, but then you can also buy the game, kind of like your Rocksmith thing you were talking about.
Yep.
Or Disney Plus, where you pay for the subscription, but then you have to pay for this premium thing too.
For the premium movie.
But anyways, it was kind of funny, and it was still weird, but it wasn't like anything crazy. It was actually it was more toned down, but still confusing, because like they always make jokes like, are they actually going to do a subscription service for their games? I don't think so. They didn't give any details about that, but it's always kind of confusing what they're doing. But this one was less funny and not gory at all, actually. I don't think they had any gore in it.
No, they just literally only like what they showed of previous showcases, like that was just it. That like when they showed a little bit of gore from that side, but there wasn't anything new necessarily in this
in terms of the presentation itself. But so they did show some new games, so this is cool. So in between their joking around and stuff, they always show the games, and the first one I believe was Trek Yo Yami, if I'm saying that right, or Yomi. And I don't have a ton of details on this because I was actually typing it up as I was watching it, but it's basically like a Japanese samurai side-scrolling action game. It kind of looked like a side-scrolling Ghost of Tsushima or something, which I'm sure that they are capitalizing on since these types of games are getting popular. We also talked about that off stream about maybe if the next Assassin's Creed game was going to go to feudal Japan. Yeah, which would be pretty. I think it would be cool. I'm not done with it.
Yeah, me either.
I like it.
I don't know. I kind of actually thought this was a trailer, so I didn't pay any attention to this game. I thought it was like and I'll be honest with you, because I'm not going to give away my reaction to this fucking presentation just yet. I know we're going to do our sort of thoughts on, the overall presentation. But I was skipping through a lot of this showcase because I just wanted to see the games, and I thought this was part of the nonsense.
The joke stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I just like completely disregarded it. I remember seeing it and but I didn't realize that was actually a game. So I kind of just fast forwarded through it until I got to Phantom Abyss.
Yeah,
so
I'm fairly certain it is a real game, and it's stylized really cool. I mean, it looks like an interesting game. Yeah. It looks like one of those, and I think there's been a couple others too, where it's like a samurai game where it's like a one-hit kills kind of thing. It kind of looked like that, where it was like a side-scrolling like action platformer. Kind of like a Ninja Gaiden thing, but you only get like one hit or something. And I don't know, because they didn't go into any details on it whatsoever. There was also some camera work that almost made it look like, because they have like the parallaxing with like the backgrounds and the foregrounds and stuff, but then they also had some camera angles that made it look kind of like it might even go into like different perspectives, right? Like a third person or something. So it's hard to tell, but it looked interesting. So, but Phantom Abyss, that I thought was pretty cool. What did you think of that?
I thought it was actually really, really, really cool. I know here that you've got it as sort of an Indiana Jones style temple runner
with multiplayer.
Is it multiplayer?
It looks like it. It looked like there was. It is. It looked like there was multiple players running around in the temple together, almost like a race.
So what they were because I watched it twice because I was really confused by the game and what it was offering.
Yeah.
What when you were seeing those sort of like ghosty figures or whatever like that, like the other people
were
that are
they
running,
ghosts?
they are ghosts. They're failed attempts.
Okay.
So it's like Dark Souls when you play Dark Souls and like you see someone die or something like that, or they've got like they left a message for you.
Right.
This is showing exactly how people did it, and these are like people that have tried and failed horribly.
I see. Okay.
And so that's what you're like seeing, like the remnants of like their failed attempt.
It was all going by very quickly. So again, and that's the thing is like they didn't spend any time talking about pretty much any of these games.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of unfortunate because they spent a lot of time like on the stream with their weird sarcasm and narrative and stuff like that. It would have been nicer to see some more of these games because they do look pretty cool. Yeah, we just didn't get a lot of that. So, but then the next one here is Wizard with a Gun.
Yeah, the trailer was super cool.
Yeah,
I was like in on it. I was like, oh, wizard, and then they all like different guns with like different like the bullets had their own like kind of like special ability. Like there was fire and there was lightning and there was a bunch of other like cool ones. There was like one where it was like icicle. They froze the wolf in place. So I was like, this looks super good.
Yeah, so it's basically a multiplayer survival sandbox game, which they did flash on the screen, so I know that that's accurate.
Yeah.
And it totally gave me Don't Starve vibes. That game, Don't Starve, and then like Don't Starve Together, you can play multiplayer, where you basically just have to figure out how to stay alive, and anything can happen. And it looked weird too, like there was weird things that happen, just like Don't Starve. So I don't know. It had this really gorgeous, like clean cartoon art style. Again,
it reminded me like of an Adult Swim kind of game.
Yeah, and again like Don't Starve, but that was more of like a Tim Burton, like dark. It was darker kind of, but it had the same type of art style. Like clean lines and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Looked cool to me. That's coming to Switch and PC in 2022. So, got to wait a little while.
Yep. But then we saw this actually the next game was previewed when they did the Xbox indie game a few months ago. So it was Death's Door. So this is the single player adventure game where you play as a raven with like a sword, and you act as kind of like the Grim Reaper. Like you work for like a division of sort of these division that like takes souls into the afterlife. So
nice.
Yeah. So there's plenty of monsters in this game, various sizes with their own abilities, and there was even giant boss fights where you were watching like these giant bosses, like literally trying to like just jump on you the entire time. So very, very interesting. It looks like a solid indie title. I can't wait to play it. This one actually is coming out here in a month. So this is July 20th, and it's coming to the Xbox One, the Series X and S, and also Steam.
Nice. Yep. And then this next one looked pretty crazy. It's called Inscription.
Yeah, this was trippy. It's like a card horror game, but I also kind of like got like vibes like it was like an escape room.
Yes.
Like as you're playing the game, like all like the like around you, like there's different things that are changing, and like if you win around, like you get to do something within the room. And I was like, and then like the person you're playing against like is tapping the table at times, like tell you to come back to play more. So
yeah, I don't
know.
It looks awesome. I'm looking at it on Steam because it's coming out there too. I can't remember. Did it say if it's coming out on consoles or not?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if it did, but yeah. So they describe it as an inky black card-based odyssey that blends the deck building, roguelike, escape room style puzzles and a psychological horror, into a blood-laced smoothie. So yeah, it's creepy because there's like there is like an escape room element to it, and there's like things that look like they're trying to kill you, like outside of the little game that you're playing inside of the bigger game. Like it's very meta.
It is.
So
super
I think it
meta.
Looks, super scary.
Yeah.
So I want to check that one out for sure. Inscription.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that one looks really good. Demon Throttle.
This had an interesting setup from them. They basically said that this was gonna be a physical game, and they pulled out a Nintendo Switch case, and then they kept reiterating and like making it a strong point that this game will not be available digitally. So I'm not sure if they were telling the truth, because a lot of times when they say things like this in a very sarcastic and like jokingly sounding way, a lot of times they're serious. For example, last year or maybe it was the year before, they had an expo game. Like you could go on their website or Steam and download this game of an exposition you'd go into, and there were booths for each of the different games that they talked about, and you could play that and like go in, and there were things to do in each booth and stuff. And they joked about it on the stream, and I was like, well, that doesn't seem real. Oh, or the other one where they hacked, or they made like rip-off versions of all of their main games, like all of their biggest games. And that was actually a thing that you could like download then and play, like all these silly rip-offs of their games.
Right.
So I'm not sure if this is, I'm not sure if they're telling the truth here, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, this it could be, but we'll see. I mean, I don't think it had like a date listed with it either. But this definitely has like that nostalgic, like 90s kind of feel to it. It's
straight up NES.
Yeah, it is a co-op top-down shooter. And the pixel art was pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna hate on that. It's not my cup of tea for game-wise. It looks like it'd be great for like to be honest with you, it looks like it'd be a great arcade game.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. But no, I mean, there are some showings from this. And again, we'll get into. Actually, I'm going to skip that part. Okay. I'm not going to talk about my reaction just yet.
Okay. So. Well, then, lastly, I'll just say. So apparently, they made like this thing at the very end. This big deal about this thing at the very end, where apparently one person can buy a copy of of this presentation on VHS. They made this available on their website, which I imagine someone already purchased if it were real. But just so odd, like very weird. Like, we're making one copy of this presentation on VHS and you can buy it on our website. Like what? It's like they go out of their way to be strange.
Right. I think they're trying too hard.
I agree. Yeah. This year, I agree. Like the last few years, I would say that they pulled it off, and it was definitely super weird, and cool. But this year, I think it was kind of too weird.
Right. Or it just wasn't weird enough, maybe. It
didn't have enough payoff, I guess.
Right, exactly.
It was weird but not funny. Like not as funny.
Because at the end of the presentation it was a dream.
Oh,
like the girl woke up from the dream. Yeah, so then I was like, well, I mean, are any of these games coming out? Because if that was all part of the dream, like maybe none of these games are really coming out.
No, that's always the real part of the of the presentation is the games are real.
Thank God.
So yeah. Thank God.
Yes. But that gets us that finished day one for us.
Yes.
So then we get to start off this morning with the saving grace of this entire show was Microsoft and Bethesda.
Woo woo!
Yeah, dude.
I don't know how we're gonna do this, dude. I think we're almost at a point where we need another show.
I know, it's crazy.
Are you gonna be all right to finish up here?
Absolutely. Let's keep fucking rolling, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're already an hour and a half in, so I'm just saying. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's keep that in mind, though, that we need to keep moving here.
Right, yes.
We go off on too many tangents.
We do.
All right.
But we'll start off, we'll go fast. Microsoft did not have any kind of like fluff really at all. They had a couple people. It was like they wanted to drop as many games as possible, and they didn't really want to talk about anything, which is really great.
They learned their lesson from years past.
Yeah, they really let the games shine for what they are, and they would have a few people highlight a few things if they needed to, but for the most part, these games got their time in the sun, and there was a lot. I mean, this conference probably lasted an hour and a half, and started off right with Starfield. That's the thing that everyone had been rumored, talked about, and this game, it's got listed as November 11th of 2022. This is going to be an exclusive Xbox Game Pass day one.
Woo-hoo!
And yeah, so I mean, it's just a strong showing. Brand new space RPG from Bethesda. Now again, we don't have too many details of exactly what this game, just a teaser, and we don't know what this game is going to really entail. Is it going to be kind of like in outer worlds, or is it going to be kind of like a Mass Effect? We don't know what necessarily this game is going to be, but it looked gorgeous from what we saw. I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it. The fact that it's a day one, first party kind of game now. I mean, like that's huge. It's huge.
My thought on it real quick is that, the relationship between Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
It's basically the same kind of game generally, but they're in different eras and there's some different mechanics there, but for the most part, they're very similar. I feel like this is going to be very similar to those as well, but in space. and moving from different planets, and there's going to be obviously like spaceship mechanics and stuff like that. Originally I thought that would kind of conflict with Fallout, but after seeing it and seeing like the aesthetic, I don't think it's going to at all. I mean, like Fallout is the post-apocalyptic, Elder Scrolls is like the high fantasy olden times kind of thing, and then this is the future basically.
Absolutely. This is the sci-fi where we'll probably get aliens. I'm excited to see fucking aliens, man.
Yes.
And then this kind of drew the line in the sand too, because this is the first showcase from Bethesda with Microsoft, and they said this is exclusive. This is not going to be, it's not a timed thing. It is only going to be on Xbox. So if you don't own an Xbox, or if you don't subscribe to xCloud whenever that becomes available for PCs, you won't be able to play this game.
Yeah, off console exclusive. I think it's still on PC, probably coming to PC.
I'm sure it will. Yeah, you're right.
But still, console exclusive. If you're a console gamer, it's the same thing.
Right. If you are just a diehard PlayStation person, you won't be able to play this game unless you either have a kick-ass PC or subscribe to xCloud,
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's a big thing that took off the market. Now, next they showcased a game. It's kind of like a shooter game, Stalker 2. Now, I didn't play the original Stalker.
Neither have I.
But this one is the Heart of Chernobyl. Looks like this is going to be a timed exclusive as well. It's coming out April of 2022. It's a really they're speaking Russian throughout most of the game in that trailer, and it's a shooter that kind of blends what I could see as sci-fi and some horror aspects, and even like there was times where you were attacking like just humans. So I don't know if then maybe there's a war aspect to it, or if maybe it's just sort of like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. But I'm interested. I mean, it looks trippy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it either. I thought it looked really good and or very interesting at least. And I'm excited to take a look at it. I think pretty much all of these that we're talking about, for the most part, with the exception of a couple or a few, I guess I should say, are all coming to Game Pass day one, I think. So
yeah, this is one of the very few that was not coming to
really?
Game Pass.
Boo.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Well, because it's only a timed exclusive, I think for I don't know.
Oh, right. So it's a third party.
Yeah. Well, so is Back for Blood, but that, however, is our next one we're going to talk about. They previewed a PvP mode, which actually is really cool, where like you can either be the good guys or you could be the zombies.
Nice.
And this is also going to be a day one Game Pass, which just recently got revealed, and that's going to be coming out October 14th. So if you are a fan of the Left 4 Dead series, you're going to love Back for Blood. And that, if you own it on if you own an Xbox, you're going to be able to play that day one without having to pay any extra money.
That is awesome. And then keep in mind, if you haven't seen it, Back for Blood, like the core gameplay mechanic is co-op shooter. So I think you got 4 people, up to 4 people, I think, and then you're just fighting zombies, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks fucking great. Then they had Contraband, which they really didn't have a whole lot. There wasn't a trailer. There was a couple pictures that were hanging up in that trailer that said it was a co-op open world game. But otherwise, there wasn't a whole lot that's known about it. Are you running drugs? Are you running guns? Like, what kind of smuggling are you doing with this Contraband? Like, what are you doing? But this is also an Xbox exclusive that will also come to Game Pass as well. So
it definitely looks like, because in the trailer they show like a heist table basically, and they're like planning all this, planning some kind of like heist or something like that. So it looks pretty that looks pretty cool. Yeah,
especially I love co-op open worlds. I think that's really cool,
especially when they're like this, where you actually get to plan the mission and stuff like that, and if they have different angles or something like that you can tackle it. That'll be neat. But yeah, we're basically completely speculating because they didn't show anything.
Yeah, we get a whole lot. But
I was excited about this. So Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life, which is a Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
Yeah, crossover.
Complete with Captain Jack Sparrow, who's going to be in the game prominently, it looks like, or the expansion rather. So that's cool, and that's coming June 22nd. Looked like
next
a lot of
week.
Fun events.
9 days.
Yeah, a lot of cool things, and he looks really good in the game.
Yeah, he looks great. They have. It's not just like they just ported in a character that looks like him. Like there's gonna be Davy Jones. Like it's like you're literally playing like the Pirates of the Caribbean, and that'll be part of Sea of Thieves, which is great.
Genius.
Like, super cool. It makes a ton of sense. Like you should have the king of pirates. In a game like Sea of Thieves
for sure.
So they did showcase a little bit of Game Pass as well too, where they said that the Yakuza games are part of it already. I believe that's like the first Yakuza games all the way through like the 6th installation of it.
All the
And
mainline games they said.
Yep. And then they just added Like a Dragon, so that is available as of today. It looks really crazy.
Is that the one that's quirky? And is the rest of the series quirky too, or is it just this one? Do you know?
I think just this one. I think that the other ones are more like in line with like sort of like Grand Theft Auto kind of
right.
But this one is more like, I don't know. It's really wonky. Like there's a bunch of like stuff that just like it's in.
My 4-year-old walked in while I was watching this part, and we laughed our asses off together because there's like a chicken that shoots an egg out of its ass and it hits a guy or like flies by a guy's face. Yeah. There's like a dude like hits another guy with a pie in the face, and like I'm trying to think of the more crazy things that happened, but like it was just a string of totally weird shit that wasn't like bad. It was just goofy, like super goofy and weird.
So
just the thing I would need personally for me to get into this series, because I have never played it. Yeah. But to me, it looked like this one looks really funny and interesting.
Yeah. And again, it's great because you don't have to have played any of the Yakuza games to really appreciate this one.
Nice.
I'd also like to see if Judgment, which is another one that is part of the Yakuza series as well, is also on Game Pass. I didn't look that up, but yeah, that was also another good one. That kind of keep going with this because we got a lot to go through. Yes. There was like 30 games that they showed off, but Battlefield 2042, holy fuck, dude!
The future.
Yeah, 128 players.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's just wild, and it's so fucking massive. The map is like at parts they were like so far back in like a desert scene outside of a town. Then they make their way into a town, and then they're going up a skyscraper, and then jumping out the skyscraper, and like then they had like scenes where like you were on top of the skyscraper, and like there was a helicopter, and someone rode a bike into the, and then it's like people are in windsuits, and there's a tornado, and you're like, what is going on? This is the craziest, like just wild.
You
like,
didn't think it could get any crazier than 2020, but in 2042,
yeah, seriously. Oh man, but
no, that's cool. But it has to be big to facilitate that many players, and I don't know have we seen a multiplayer game with that many players on console before?
I mean, other than, I guess you could count Fortnite because they have 100 people, right?
That's less.
Well, right. You're right. No, there's not been one that's been beyond that.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Power.
What'd you say? 128 or something like that?
28. So I think it's 64 versus 64.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Which, I mean, is kind of half of what Chivalry is. Chivalry 2 just came out here, and that's 64 versus 64 players, and that's 32 versus 32. But that's the medieval that got showcased at the Thursday's game. But we're not there yet. We're 2 days later. Yeah. Yes. So then they anything else you wanted to say about Battlefield?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So they had 12 minutes, which is that isometric cinematic game.
We talked about this one multiple times before in the past.
Yep, and they gave a date for it. So August 19th, that'll be a Game Pass one as well.
Hooray!
So, hooray, for free.
I love watching presentations of games I don't have to buy. It's amazing. It's such an amazing feeling, especially when you're talking about like AAA games, which we'll get to here in a minute, like some of their first party stuff, or Starfield too. Like after they, which I already knew it was coming, day one, but after watching the trailer, it's still surprising to me every time when they're like, and it's coming to Game Pass day one. It, something clicks again in my brain that's like, oh yeah, I don't have to buy this. That's amazing. Like this is just going to be, I'm just excited because I'm going to be able to play this without having to pay anything. I'm definitely going to be able to play this. Like, will I have money then to buy it or not? It doesn't matter.
And you won't have to wait for it like a GameFly, like where you got to like put a reservation on it, and then you got to wait for it to get to you. And if you've already got something, now you got to finish that game so that you can send that back to get that next game. Like this is like, boom, it's already in there waiting for you to play.
And with this presentation, it's one after another after another. It's just like constantly being reminded like, oh yes, free, I get to play this. It's part of my subscription. That's amazing.
So good. And then they showcased Psychonauts 2, which they gave that one
Double
also a release date. Yeah, that's also going to be Game Pass day one, August 25th that'll be coming out.
Nice. I still need to play the first one. I heard it's amazing.
Oh, they're great. It's a great game. So definitely try it out before that second
That's
one.
on Game Pass also.
It is also on Game Pass.
And I think it's like it's not remastered, or it's like enhanced or something like that.
Yeah. And then Bethesda pretty much got up there and said, "Hey, by the way, 30 of our games are going to be on Game Pass."
A lot of them already are, though, but they're saying that it's going to be 30 of their games now.
Yep,
they're getting to that number.
Yep, and there's also going to be bringing a bunch of updates to Skyrim, to Doom, so that they are, pushing that Xbox Series X and S capabilities by optimizing sort of that quality with both fidelity and graphics and sound. So all of that will also be playing a big impact. They talked about new content coming out here for Fallout 76.
Before you move on to that, I just wanted to say real quick that that was a surprise to me. Like I hadn't factored that into the Bethesda acquisition by Microsoft, that these games aren't exclusive. Like I can play, Fallout and Skyrim and like the older ones. I can play those on other platforms, but they're not going to upgrade them for PS5.
No,
like they're not. Why would they do that? So I totally didn't even think about the fact that of course they're on Game Pass, but they can update them for Series X and S, but they're not going to do that for PS5. So that's like another cool little thing. Yep. Little perk that you
nice
get.
New nugget. Yeah, exactly.
Right, because I'm probably not going to go back and play that, most of those, but if they're up-resed or the frame rate goes up, I think they even said Doom's going to be like 120 frames or something like that. Yeah, like I'm going to download that just to see it because that's cool. Yeah.
And then again, they talked about new content that's coming out for Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. So that was great to see them still supporting Fallout 76 and talking about how popular it is because it's on Game Pass. It's one of the most popular games is what they said.
They said it's one of the most popular games on Game Pass. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's probably because it got so much bad press. And then when it shows up on a free platform, people are probably more interested in checking it out. Plus, it's been really rebuilt.
Oh, it's a way different game now.
Yeah, it's so much different than what it was initially. So, anyway, again, new content coming July 7th. And then the Pit expansion coming out in 2022. So again, a lot of great things coming for that game. ESO just had their Blackwood, which was the Oblivion chapter, got added in. So there's 18 million players in Elder Scrolls Online.
That's crazy.
And what's great is, to be honest with you, I've played ESO before. So much fun to play with friends and everything. And you can choose to subscribe and you could choose not to subscribe and you could still get the same kind of quality experience. There's benefits to subscribing.
Wait, do you have to do that, or can you do that on top of Game Pass even?
What?
Or subscribe? Or is it just...
you technically would have to. So you would get, I don't believe, I
bet you it's the full thing, if it's on Game Pass.
It is, but I'm sure that you still would have to subscribe to the actual service.
Okay.
Because you get benefits, because there are things that they monetize from that, because there's like expansions and whatnot like that are only exclusive to people that have subscribed to ESO. And to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure if Elder Scrolls Online is part of Game Pass.
Oh, I thought it was.
I don't know if it is.
No, it is. It definitely is, because I saw it and I'm like, oh, I totally want to play that. I've wanted to play it for a long time. So, but it might just be like the other version, though.
Yeah. And so what it would probably be would be the version without the subscription, because normally it's $14.99 for monthly subscription to ESO, ESO subscription base. But regardless, we're kind of getting away from that. But again, they're bringing in and they're optimizing again more, where that quality is going to be matching that of the Series X and the Series S. So that it's really getting, quite a big, fidelity upgrade, which is awesome. The next game they showed off was Party Animals. I feel like this would be great for your daughter. She might find this really interesting because it had like that Fall Guys vibe to it, where it was like stuffed animals with like giant hammers and they were like attacking each other. I don't know. What did you think of it?
I didn't really understand what I was seeing. It looked kind of like Fall Guys. Yeah. So I thought maybe it was like a Fall Guys for a second, because I was also making lunch for my daughter, so I kind of half watched that part, and I almost thought it was like a Fall Guys like new season or something like that. But I could tell it was different. but it looked very similar to me.
Yeah, oh, it totally does. And then there was Hades, which won a lot of awards last year. So, it's great that's coming to Game Pass. It's gonna be
Game of the Year. From some outlets, it was.
Yes, yeah, it was. It was an indie game that just won a ton of fucking awards. But that game is coming out August 13th to Game Pass. So again,
I'm really excited about that. I've heard great things about Hades.
I bought it for Switch and it's fucking amazing. It's so good. It's so much fun to play. So the fact that you can play it for free now, if you have gameplay, it's great. Kind of continue on. Somerville. This was kind of an interesting one. It was an indie cartoon survival game. I know it sounds like it'd be like funny, but it's really not. It was like the stylized version of it was like a very serious, but it was also like cartoony, almost like a Wallace and Gromit if they were like cartoons. I don't know. It was interesting. This is also going to be another one of those exclusive day one games. So I'd check that out if you're interested in that. But then sort of, midway through the fucking show was Halo.
Yay!
Like I figured when they started with fucking Starfield,
they were going to end with Halo.
They would end with Halo. To me, that just made sense to me. Like, why would you not put the biggest game of the year as last? And mid-show, they pulled out Halo Infinite. Boy, howdy, was I aroused.
Well, they've shown it before, so I think that's why they didn't want to end with it, because they've shown it quite a few times because it got delayed. It was supposed to be out already. Yeah. But that being said, it looks better than ever, which is cool. It in some regards, I'd say it looks next gen. In others, I'd say it still kind of looks like, the old gen. But I don't know, but it still looks very, very cool. And I actually forgot that it's open world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they've said that before, but I totally forgot about that. So I'm kind of excited. That seems kind of neat to break out of that, single mission narrative structure that they've
where
always
it's just
had.
like individual maps and it's kind of sectioned out into that, but now it more so opens up. I'm really excited about that. And it sounds like there's going to be other worlds too, like other planets you'll kind of go to.
Of course. Yeah,
so I mean, it's going to kind of be like a Destiny in a way.
They're taking on the original makers.
Exactly. Again, it looks great. I mean, the multiplayer that they were talking about with 120 frames for the Series X and S, I mean, is just wild. I need a better TV for that shit for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. I can't even see 120 frames on my TV.
Right.
Scratch that Doom download I mentioned.
Right. But the kill animations were great. I mean, the samurai armor that one guy was wearing at the end when he pulled out the sword, I was like, oh my god,
Samurai Chief.
Right, Samurai Chief. That's so good.
It looks so fluid though, and I mean the animations they showed when you're shooting someone in PvP, they kind of like took the hit, and the animation that they did when the character falls down just looked super fluid. It was awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited because I feel like they're adding more like traversal options, like when they had the grappling hook in there too. Which kind of want to talk about that in the roundup kind of thing, like what our thoughts were, because I've noticed that a lot of games are having fucking hook features like grappling hooks.
You have to. It's the next generation of travel.
Right. It really is, because you've there's so much
traversal.
Like right. If you can't climb it, they're going to give you a hook.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's Sekiro's influence. I feel like
I read that you put that, and you said you couldn't think of any other games. How about Zelda? Hookshot, baby.
Oh, I guess you're right. I mean, but it's just, can you believe that it's taken this long to sort of catch on?
Well, and this is first person that we're talking about, so it's a little different. And you can do it from much farther away, it seems.
Right.
Yeah, so it could be Sekiro.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, but I just to me, I just feel like it's caught on mainstream wise. Where there's a few different games that, just recently showcased that it's also going to be including kind of that grappling hook, like Horizon Zero Dawn's got it now, or Horizon Forbidden West will now have it.
You know what? There is another game I was going to mention. I think Bulletstorm had something like that too.
Okay.
And that was before Sekiro.
Interesting. I didn't play Bulletstorm.
It has like it's like an electric whip thing, and I think you could use it as I know you could grab enemies with it, but I think you could also traverse with it. But I might be wrong, so you can fact check me.
Cool. We'll do it at a later time. We got to keep going, man.
Yep.
There's so many shit to get through. Anyways, that's coming out holiday 2021. So save your.
I was not confident about that when they, I was not happy when they said holiday because that's what they said before, and really that means we don't have a nailed down timeline yet. I was really hoping they were going to give us an actual release date today. Today.
I thought they would too, because I figured, well, this is the 20th year for Halo. Like, obviously it's going to be on the anniversary. So when they said holiday, I'm like, well, that's not, it's too wishy-washy.
Well, and it also leaves the door open to push it still.
It does. At least a little bit, give them a little bit of extra time. I'd rather them push it and it'd be great than it'd come out and it'd be buggy as hell.
That's true.
Take your time. Diablo 2, which we didn't have a time for. We knew it was coming because of BlizzCon earlier this year, back in February, with that Resurrected, which takes the Diablo 2 takes the Diablo 2 model and just brings it up into the modern day age, sort of almost to a happy 3, Diablo 3, but that is getting a release date as well as September 23rd. So fans of Diablo 2, hopefully you're not fans of also Sable, because those games are going to be competing for that same day.
Yikes.
Did you ever play Plague's Tale?
No, but I do know, I'm very familiar with it because of I'm signed up for like their media like newsletter thing, so I get a whole bunch of information about it, and it always looked really good.
I own it, and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. The graphics are like bleeding edge. I'm very impressed. It definitely looks like a AAA game, but it's a smaller studio, right? Yeah.
And so they brought up their sequel, which is going to be Requiem, and it's also going to be a game day Game Pass day one.
We need a soundbite for that with the frequency that we're saying it.
It is so much in this showcase, but that'll be 2022. And then Far Cry 6 got a small little brief showcase, and really it was just weapons. Like, it was guns, and more guns. They even showed off a rooster that was attacking an enemy. That was like all like pimped out and like slave like leatherwear or whatever like that, like a
spiky
choker
collar.
Dude, it was crazy. It was attacking. So and it was really cool because they showed a lot of differences between stealth and like mayhem. Like there was like rocket launchers, and then there was like sniper rifles. Like it was like anything you could think of, there was a weapon for. So that is gonna be really cool. What did you think of that next game that kind of showed up? Was Slime Rancher?
Yeah, Slime Rancher too. I think Slime Rancher the original is on Xbox Game Pass, but I haven't checked it out yet.
Okay.
And it looks interesting. At first, it almost looked like a Wind Waker. Like they started out in like the ocean, and the water looks really, really good. And then they got to the landscape, and I'm just kind of like, it's like pastel, and I'm like, this game isn't for me. But then I thought, okay, well, but this might be something that my daughter really enjoys, and I will play anything with her if it's a video game. Yeah. So I think she'll like it, and it looks fun. What are you like going around sucking up like slimes and then taking them back? Yeah, and then feeding them other slimes or like growing them or something like that. I don't know what you do with them then.
I don't know either. Could just be like a Harvest Moon kind of thing, or an Animal Crossing kind of spoof.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I figured.
So looks like Power's got a question for you. I don't own either of these, but what about you? I know you own them both. What do you think?
I see you have the X and the 5. Oh, and the PS5. Which do you prefer? Ooh, that's like a loaded question that we need a whole show on.
Right, it really is.
Well, offline, me and Justin and Schmed always have this conversation over and over and over again about which one's better. Schmed is totally PS5. Justin is very much leaning towards Xbox, especially with the Bethesda acquisition.
Yep.
I'm kind of in between, so I do have both. I want both. I don't know. I guess if I had to pick one, it would probably be the 5, just because there's exclusives that you can't play anywhere else. But now you can say the same thing about Bethesda games, with the exception of PC. But I don't think I would go out and buy, a super expensive graphics card so I could play these games on PC. So my solution is buy both of them. And I did the Game Pass or Xbox All Access. So I'm basically paying like $40 a month or I think it's like 36 or something like that per month for 2 years. Then I own the system, and it drops down to the regular Game Pass Ultimate rate. Plus I get Game Pass Ultimate for that whole time. So to me, it's a no-brainer. If you can do that and you can afford, the $40 a month, if you're paying for Game Pass, you're already paying $15 anyways. And then if so I don't know. I'd say both. But if I had to pick one, I do think the PS5, at least right now, feels more next gen.
Yeah, especially with the controller. I mean,
the
I think
controller's huge.
Controller's big. Because that I mean, it was just sort of that technology is really cool.
But we can't talk about that anymore. We have to keep going through the games.
Yes, we got so much. So then Shredders was a snowboarding game, which I was really surprised by, because I'm like, is snowboarding a thing again? Like, because like I remember like when Shaun White was like huge and like he was everywhere, and then like that's when they were making a shit ton of snowboarding games.
I remember back in the day with N64 where we had 1080.
Oh yeah,
and I was kind of hoping that I mean, this kind of looked like that, but I know that was a Nintendo franchise, so
right. Next one was a little weird. We had Atomic Heart.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really, they had like sci-fi robots that were like strangling you, and there was like mind control with like these hand wires. It's a day one exclusive, but it was just so weird. The trailer, I don't even know what to make of it.
I don't either. All I know is that when I see a bunch of really fucked up shit, it makes me want to play the game. Yeah. So like, this looks super interesting. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely very psychological, and very strange elements that don't seem to fit together. And that to me, usually for me, makes a really, really compelling game. So I'm very interested in checking it out.
This reminds me kind of a control game, like, how that is
the game control.
The game control. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of that sort of weird element where there's maybe some kind of like psychic powers, or like,
and you can manipulate the environment maybe somehow, or it's very strange.
Another Game Pass exclusive day one. So again, you can try it out for free, and if you don't like it, well, do it. You didn't have to spend
the full anything.
Yeah, exactly. This other game I put it down here on the list. For some reason, there was so many games. I'm actually kind of drawing a blank on it.
I'm looking it up right now for the same thing.
Yeah, there was Replaced, which is also another one that's...
Excuse me. Yeah, this one I really wanted to talk about. So I'm glad that you forced my hand to look it up. But it's basically, it reminded me of like Another World. What is that game? It's called something different on Super Nintendo. Out of This World. Remember Out of This World and Flashback and stuff like that? It totally looks like a cinematic 2D side scroller, but it looks amazing. The graphics are awesome. It's got like the like digitized 2D pixel art kind of look to it, but at the same time there's like all these really crazy effects. You really have to see it in motion. So I would look up Replaced game and look at the video of it, because the fluidity of it and the way that the like pixel art moves and like the layers, it's got the parallaxing to the max, like weird crazy shit going on in the background. In the foreground there's multiple layers of it. It just looks really, really cool. So check that out. I'm excited, if you couldn't tell. Replaced. This one I'm not as excited for. Grounded.
It looks like just an update. Yeah, it's just some content they're adding too. Well, so I mean, like,
it's still technically in early access, I think. Yeah. And it still, I don't think, has a completed story. So like, you can complete the story in literally like 15 minutes. Really? Yeah, it's mostly like a sandbox right now.
Interesting.
So that's, we're all kind of waiting for like an actual game to come out of it, but so not really that interested in it until that happens.
Yeah, and then Among Us is coming out here, coming soon. There wasn't a specific date, but I've never played it. I've downloaded it,
but it looks so
different
awesome.
Places. I know. It sounds like something we could easily put together for the Discord. So we got to get it together one of these nights, guys. Because it's crossplay. So if you own it one place, you can play with everybody.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was the whole thing. That's why it hasn't been added to Xbox yet. And once it is, I think every place will then have Among Us. So you can play it on PC, you play it on your phones, play it on Switch, you can play it on Xbox and PlayStation, and it'll be crossplay. So you'll be able to play everywhere. Yeah.
Sidebar on that, my 4-year-old was watching some of this with me, and she saw this part, and she's like, "Oh, I love Among Us." She thinks she loves the game because of YouTube influencers and like kids videos. They do like live action Among Us, which sounds like an awesome party game, by the way. I would totally do that in person. That sounds really fun. Oh yeah. But yeah, so I just thought it was funny. So she thinks she likes it, and hopefully we can play it together. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Is it? Can you play two people on? Like, can you have a guest if you're playing online?
I don't know. I mean, you might be just give her your phone or something like that. She'll be able to play like on your phone, because I think that you're like, and she might want to play in a different room because she'll be able to see your screen and find out if you're the imposter.
Well, she doesn't really know how to do all that like gaming stuff yet, anyways. So she'll probably just die. But she might have fun.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
So they had this. I'm going to butcher this name, but a Yuden Chronicle Rising and a Yuden 100 Heroes.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, I'm just pronouncing it as it phonetically sounds. But it's a 2D characters and like a 3D world with like some 3D bosses.
You mean Octopath Traveler?
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe for sure. These will both be on Game Pass. Looks like Rising is going to be Chronicle Rising is 2022 release, and the only one that we actually for sure got a release date of 2023 was this one out of the entire Game Fest so far. So 100 Heroes is going to be 2023. It actually looks really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be like a JRPG like Octopath is, or if it's going to be more action RPG kind of style. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot.
They didn't show any combat on there. I thought
they did show combat, but they didn't show like if it was turn based.
Oh, okay.
So it was like all cinematic combat. So I couldn't tell, like, is this like where you select a movement or select a type, and like, is it like back and forth, kind of like D&D style? So
hey, it looks cool. You sold me on the art style, and if it's on Game Pass, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Both of them are. Booyah.
Yes.
The Ascent, which is also coming to Game Pass. We really got to create a fucking soundbite for that. So this was a cyberpunk sort of sci-fi shooter looter kind of thing. It's more isometric, but it's not a first person, and it's a far third person kind of camera view from what I was looking at. It's not necessarily over the top head with isometric, but it is.
No, isometric would be a 3/4 view. So like, whereas like, what's that game that's like super brutal and it's like they all wear animal heads and they go around and shoot everybody, and you don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, anyways, that's I can't think of what it's called, but whatever. Party something or other. I don't know. Whatever. But there's other games where it's like straight up top down. Yeah. Like Zelda's more like, of a top down. That's barely isometric at all. But this is like a straight up isometric, like, room that you're running around in. Yeah.
And looks like there's gonna be co-op too. So there's gonna be up to 4 players that you can play with. So it should be interesting. It seems like more of like a indie game anyways. But it's Game Pass. Can't go wrong. Can't fight it. Right. Exactly. Another Game Pass. Age of Empires 4. So this is going to be in, so the next,
I like Age of Empires, but this I thought was kind of like underwhelming. Like it didn't look that good. Yeah. I feel like their remastered Age of Empires 3 looked better. Maybe they just didn't have a great showing for it. Maybe the trailer didn't do it justice. But again, this is going to be that real-time strategy war game. It's going to take place on both land and sea for past generations. So they did have like old England. They had Vikings. They had I think they had like China, and they had Egypt and in a bunch of different areas. So this is October 28th, and so that'll be day one, day after my birthday.
Nice. And then this game, I was laughing, like I was literally rolling while I was watching this trailer. It was hilarious. So funny. Oh, so funny. So it was Outer Worlds 2, and the entire time they were like, watch us do a slow motion video, like or let's peek out all the way to this, this climax of the scene and just show a shadow.
The character will be standing there looking, out at the vista, and you won't be able to see the front of him because they didn't finish designing the character.
Right.
Or something like that. Like, the whole thing they were making fun of, all these people who do teaser trailers and stuff like that when they, barely have anything done on the actual game, but they were calling themselves out for, of doing the same thing. So
exactly,
it was hilarious. I kind of actually felt like it kind of went back to like the Devolver Digital thing, because that's exactly the kind of stuff that they do. Yeah. So they were just being like super sarcastic and like making fun of everybody, including themselves. So I thought it was really funny. They sold me on that. I didn't like the first game that much, but
it had a very Fallout vibe to it.
To me, it felt like a poor man's Fallout, like a dollar store Fallout.
Really? I thought it was
so.
better than that. It definitely had a lot. It wasn't as muted or it wasn't as gray color or anything like that. I thought the story was good.
The color. Yeah. Anyways, we could talk about that in another show.
For sure. Different story for sure. We're at 2 hours now. So the last 3 games of the showing were honestly, it was just like, holy shit. Like it was crazy good. So Flight Sim, I've never thought that would be fun to play. And then
it probably wouldn't if it wasn't on Game Pass.
Right.
Not true. If I had a badass computer with a flight stick and with like a rudder control and stuff like that, like where I could actually like, get my sim on, I'd be like, yes, I would totally do that. But because it's on Game Pass, I'm super excited to download it and check it out because it is absolutely stunning.
It's breathtaking. Like I saw this, I was like, holy shit. I was like, it's just like you can see all these different, I think they partnered with maybe Google or something like that, like Google Maps or something to like really like because it looks like these cities, you fly over them, like it's insane, like in all these different places you'll never probably ever visit in your entire life, and you can fly to them.
Nice.
Like, you can fly to like the middle of the fucking ocean, and so excited.
Where's the first place you're gonna fly?
I don't know.
I can tell you where I will while you're thinking. I'm going to fly from Chicago O'Hare to Hawaii.
Okay.
Direct flight. Hopefully I won't crash or run out of fuel.
Right. Have a lost issue on your hand.
I've flown from Chicago to Hawaii before, so I'm sure that the plane can make it with, as long as it's like a commercial airliner or something.
Right.
Which is what I'm going to do because my virtual passengers are all going on vacation. So it's my responsibility to fly them and get them there safely.
I think I would be interested in checking out New Zealand, actually.
Ooh, I always wanted to go to New Zealand.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, man. That's fell in love with that area just because of that movie alone. But that's gonna be fall of 2020. I'm sorry, no, that's the game is coming out July 27th, and there's already expansion planned for 2021.
And what's that?
What?
What's the expansion?
Oh,
you didn't catch that?
No.
It's fucking Top Gun, bro.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I do remember that.
Are they gonna will you be able to shoot, or did they not shoot?
I don't know. I don't remember. Did they shoot in Top Gun? I don't remember. Did they end combat?
I don't even remember.
I just remember Goose dying.
I don't know. But I do know what I can tell you is that they definitely have had planes that you can get in previous flight simulators that have guns. Okay. And you could do like some dogfighting and stuff like that. Like that would be awesome. Really old version. Yeah. It would be really cool.
Yeah. But equally as impressive was Forza Horizon 5.
Yes. Maybe more impressive. Are you just talking in terms of visuals or gameplay wise?
I think both. I think honestly this game, like I was like, I've never wanted to play a racing car game. Me too. Then I saw this and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Have you ever played Horizon or Forza Horizon, like the one that's on Game Pass right now?
No.
So I hadn't either. I thought it was just a racing game, but it's actually an open world racing game. So the the Forza Horizon series is not like the racing sim. Okay. It's an open world like multiplayer thing. So like you can see other people driving around in the world and you can like set up races with them and stuff like that. But there's also these really cool exploration elements to it. I was over at my buddy's house and his son, Gavin, he was showing me this game because, I've heard of it and I just never checked it out. First of all, it's gorgeous, like even the old one. And he was showing me, oh yeah, you can just drive wherever you want. And, like there's seasons. So if it's like, if it's winter, you can actually drive over the lakes and stuff like that. And you can just drive wherever you want. And there's like things to actually do. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. It looks insane.
Oh,
like the graphics look absurd.
Yeah. Next, I mean, it's so next level. I mean, like that's clearly pushing the next gen, and it's November 9th. So again, we're a couple months away from that. We're 5 months away from that game coming out. And it looked like a stunner then. I can only imagine that it'll look even better, once we get closer to that date.
Hell yeah.
Now, they mentioned again for 2021, it looks like they're adding 21 major games, and there could be even more that get added here, before the end of 2021. And obviously, there were other games that we talked about too. We put a little picture or whatever like that I was able to grab from the showcase of what's coming, and when it's kind of listed as, from Xbox for that day one. So, be on the lookout for that. If you're a Patreon, you'll be able to see that there listed. We might post this up on the social media links and whatnot like that, so you can see that timeline too.
It's really cool though. Yeah, every month there's at least a couple of games come in, and I'm hoping this isn't the complete list. I'm hoping that there's still some indie games that are going to get worked out and come in. Because right now I don't really like the idea of 2 games coming every month because it feels like Gold or PS Plus or something. I was under the impression that they just kind of streamed in, which they have. I mean, we've been in situations where, every week or 2, there's like something coming out. So I'm hoping that this is just the major announcements, like the new games, and there'll still be some things coming to it. But even if that's not the case, I mean, it's Game Pass is king, baby.
Yeah, it's crazy good. And then finally, the last game that they showed off, which is coming out in summer of 2022, is called Redfall. And again, this is coming from Bethesda, the makers that this was coming from the division that made. No, I was going to say Infamous. It's not Infamous.
I'm not even sure what it is.
Oh shoot. They made Dishonored. There we go.
There you go.
Yep. So Dishonored, the same studio that made Dishonored is making this game called Redfall. It is another Xbox exclusive Bethesda game. And again, that's just another iteration of where they just drew the line in the sand and said, sorry, PlayStation, this is not for you. And this is you can play with friends, you can play it solo, but this is like a co-op vampire shooter with like psychic superpowers. Like,
why haven't there been more vampire shooter games?
I don't know.
I'm glad this one's coming. It's filling a void.
Right. Although, I mean, it kind of feels like Back 4 Blood is zombies, and this is Redfall, and this is the exact same kind of concept, but vampires.
Hey, that's fine. It looks awesome. Well, the other thing I like about it is that there's a technology element too, because it looks like it takes place in the future, because there's like cool robots and stuff like that. And it looks awesome. I'm really excited to see it. We didn't see any gameplay. It was just it probably wasn't even an engine, or maybe it was. I don't know.
But I think it was an engine, but
either way, I love the concept, and I'm totally sold.
Yep. It's a great way to end that fucking show for sure. Like, man, it was just those last 3 games in a row. Boom, baby.
Did you mention day one also?
What's up?
Did you mention
day one? Oh yeah,
also?
absolutely. Of course it's day one. Yep. This is an Xbox exclusive. This will also be day one once it comes out in 2022.
Whoop whoop.
Woo woo.
All right, moving right along here. We're almost there. Yep. Square Enix.
Yes.
Started out really strong.
Yes,
and then
it did.
Then
it just shat all over itself. Yeah, it was not good.
And it kept going downhill too.
Oh, it was so bad.
But let's start on the high note. So out of nowhere, Guardians of the Galaxy was announced. It's coming out October 26th, so just in a few months.
Yeah, how this game made it this long without being leaked? I mean, Starfield, which isn't even coming out till next year, was leaked weeks before. This game, no one heard of it.
No.
I mean,
you know what's funny too? I thought this was the Avengers. I thought it was just an add-on to it.
So did I.
I didn't pick up on the fact that it was like its own standalone game for like a while. And I'm like, wow, they're really doing a lot of, coverage on this, expansion to Marvel Avengers.
Right.
And then it's like, oh no, this is its own game. And not only that, it's got some really interesting mechanics because you're playing as a team, but it's not multiplayer. It appears to be single player completely. Is that the case, or did they mention something?
No, it's single player exclusively, and you only play as Star-Lord.
But
you don't play as
command your
else.
team. So it's almost like a BioWare game or something where you're, playing the one
Shepard,
character,
but you don't control everybody else.
Yep, which sounds awesome. And then on top of that, it's very narrative driven, and your decisions actually affect how the game plays out, which is cool. So
they showed an example of that while they were like trying to they're broke, and they were like trying to say should we sell off the raccoon or I can't remember his name, Rocket, that is Yeah, and they were kind of like, at one point he says, "Let's sell Rocket," and then like last second, the character makes the decision to go with Groot. So this looks awesome. I mean, the combat looked great. It has that same kind of charm and quality of humor that the Guardians movie already had, and they look similar enough to the movie where it's not like where when they came out with the Avengers game, like it was like you were playing fat Captain America. Like it was weird. Like Thor looked terrible too. Like so like this game, they look great. The character models. I hope it doesn't suck either power, but this one really should be good.
I don't know if you didn't watch it, you got to go check it out because to me it does not look like it's gonna suck. It looked very interesting. It looked like there's a ton of variety.
Yeah.
It just looked really fun, and they did a good. I don't know, what would you say, like 10, 15 minutes on it?
Yeah, solid. I mean, that was what their
was
main focus
the biggest,
was.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing they went through. So yeah, check that shit out.
So let's blast through some of these mobile games here because there was a bunch of games.
Let's do a game here. You say the name of it, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think about it.
Okay. The remaster of Final Fantasy 1 through 6 for the mobile and Steam. Yeah. Remaster of Legend of Mana coming out June 24th. I would also say,
what? I'm not sure that's even a remaster. I think did it actually say remaster? Because I think
it said
just
remaster.
Oh, did it? Okay, it looked very similar. Because I think that was the first one that came out on PlayStation.
It was, and I think it's part of that like pixel improvement. So like it's like bringing it up to a current pixel. I don't know. That's just what they said it was. It's part of that same branding. They've got Hitman Sniper, which is a mobile game. Yeah. Near Reincarnation, mobile game. Okay,
I'm excited about this just because I love Nier.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier, mobile game. Yeah.
I'm not excited about these mobile games. What's going on here?
I don't get why
is this like 2015 or something?
I don't know why they're releasing so many. And then they had like updates for their already existing mobile games too. And I was like, this just seems like a weird showcase. Like it's just a bunch of mobile games. There is new Avengers content. And while I wasn't excited about the first 2 chapters that are coming out this summer, I am, however, excited about that the Black Panther. The Black Panther
Battle
actually looked really great.
Or something?
Yeah, it looked great. I was like, okay, all right, I see you.
Okay.
If that was its own game, I would be all over that. But they didn't make it its own game. It's part of the Avengers, and I don't know if I want to play the entire game just to get to that part. So
yeah, it's pretty. I like the Avengers. I think it's kind of cool.
Oh, did you play through the full game?
No, just the demo.
I played the demo. I wasn't sold on it, so that's why I didn't spend my money. And then
I
got
play
shit
it for
on
free. Is
reviews.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if you have PlayStation's thing, their PlayStation's Play or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
part
it
of
is.
that.
Oh, it is on there. Yeah.
The game they showed next was Babylon's Fall, which looked kind of interesting. I mean, it kind of looked really rough in my YouTube stream. So then I was like, maybe this game isn't going to be that great. I don't know. But it looked like it was a multiplayer kind of like fantasy game where it was, people take on different classes, I guess. So I don't know. It looked kind of interesting, but I was kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
They're remastering Life is Strange, the first 2 chapters. And that's coming out September 2021. So that'll be out here. Yeah. Because they showed like some upgrades to the kind of graphics and the shadows. And I was like, all right.
It looks a little better.
Yeah, I guess, right? That was all. And then they had Life is Strange, the True Colors, where it's the psychic that can kind of like, she's a psychic empath. And she kind of reads people's vibes and moods, and then she can kind of like change how, like, she can like take their moods away from them. Like if someone's like angry, she can like take their anger away and like try to replace it, which is interesting. But you can also leave it with that person. And then there was Stranger of Paradise, which was a Final Fantasy Origin game, and that title is super fucking long. And there just seems to be a lot of strange in the titles, and it looked like kind of like a Final Fantasy 15 where you had your party members, but you only controlled one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. They kept saying chaos throughout that trailer, and I'll get to my impressions of that game as well in a moment here. Right. It just was chaos all the time. Gotta kill chaos. But anyways, we are halfway there.
In terms of E3, yes.
Yeah, in terms of E3. So that concludes today's giant showing from Microsoft and Square Enix, and I believe there was the PC gaming show as well too. But and there was also
a VR thing too. I didn't watch.
And there was WB's Back 4 Blood. Yeah, so that will be we'll definitely cover the Back 4 Blood here next time around, just to kind of see if there's any other information we've not seen so far. But again, halfway through, we still have again the indie show tomorrow plus Capcom, and then on Tuesday we've got Nintendo and the Nintendo Treehouse, and then also we've got Bandai Namco to kind of round everything out. So, what are your opinions so far, buddy?
Well, I think Ubisoft was mostly a letdown, but I did think the Rocksmith Plus thing was pretty cool. It's evolving into, well, I thought it was evolving more into, no, it is. It's evolving more into an application than a game, I guess. So that's cool, and I like the integration with the phone. That's neat. Also that they're including tablature view, which is really cool. Because I remember back in high school, I used to like download tabs.
Yeah,
from the internet to like learn how to play songs. And then also on the note of Ubisoft, fuck James Cameron. I hate him because he talks shit about Star Wars and he thinks that Avatar is better than Star Wars, and he's sorely mistaken.
Yeah, he's definitely delusional.
So I have this bad taste in my mouth about anything Avatar, and I can't like it because of the things that James Cameron has said. I will give it a chance. And I'll try to look past it. And I'm really hoping that the next movies are as good as he thinks that they're going to be.
Right.
And apparently as good as Disney thinks they're going to be, because they built a fucking Avatar world at Disney World for some reason.
Right.
But at least they also have Star Wars World now. So that's good. How about you on Ubisoft?
Oh, okay. All right. We're
do you want to do it like that?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Okay.
So I think Ubisoft had some strong showings if you are a fan of the Rainbow Six series and first-person shooters, because they also had Far Cry 6. Again, amazing villain. It looks great. And I'm glad to see that they're supporting the Assassin's Creed. Again, typically they go every other year, so they stop supporting after about a year. So the fact that they're already committing to a next year for Valhalla is great. Again, stoked about Rocksmith. I am a little apprehensive again about sort of what we could be, what the model will look like. Again, I just don't want there to be, microtransaction where it's, song is locked that I want to learn how to play after paying for the subscription. But again, we'll know more about that maybe from the beta after that's done. Sad to see that there was no update for Immortal Phoenix Rising, because I know they came out with an expansion not too long ago about like the Asian mythology. So I was surprised that that maybe they didn't do anything else. Maybe Egyptian or I don't know. Maybe Native American or even like Indian. That'd been really interesting. And when I say Indian, I mean like India.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, like with Hinduism and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Also,
cool.
Really, and I'm actually kind of bummed out that we didn't see anything about Star Wars. I know they're making a Star Wars game. Ubisoft is making a Star Wars game, and I was hoping to see maybe some kind of preview for that as well.
I think I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Did EA's license officially run out, or did they renew it?
No, they no more exclusivity. So their 10 years is done. So anyone that wants to start making games now can.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's sort of my reaction on Ubisoft. So what about Gearbox? What did you think?
Well, I think we covered it pretty much, but let's just reiterate that the presentation was shallow and completely hype driven. No meat on the bone.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely fucking pathetic. I thought I wasted 25 minutes of my life. They didn't show us anything new. They showed us a movie, but they showed
it would have been new if they didn't have hadn't given all their stuff to the Jeff
right,
Keighley
they blew
thing.
their load, and then they had nothing for the second shot. It was Kevin Hart didn't seem excited to even talk about anything. I like
Kevin Hart though.
But you're right. I do love Kevin Hart too, but he didn't seem excited. And then he seemed super scripted for what he was even talking about when it came to the game. I think it was the meme of the entire convention. Like someone's got to be like, someone's got to fail harder than Gearbox. But I feel like they're the meme. I feel like I could have watched someone microwave a turd for 30 minutes, and that would have been more entertaining.
Put it up on the Twitch channel. Let's see how many views we get.
I'm sure we get a lot. So what did you think about digital? I know we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed. I was disappointed. I actually went back and watched the original 2017 press conference and laughed more than I did from this new one. Although I thought there were some interesting offerings in the games, and I'm excited to check some of those out for sure.
Yeah, I kind of thought it kind of sucked butt. I wrote that here in my notes. I didn't think the presentation was very clever or funny, and I just really skipped through all the nonsense. It didn't register with me, but I do feel like I probably spoiled that a little bit because the way that I watched it was I watched Xbox's presentation and then Square Enix's presentation, and then I went back and watched digital.
Oh yeah.
And after watching Xbox's presentation, I was like, why am I watching this? Like, this is
a waste of time.
Exactly. I wanted them to focus more on the games and talk about the games and like the features of the games, and we didn't get any of that. We just got like these trailers that didn't talk much about it. And I think that's something that they sorely missed out on. There are a few that I am interested in playing, but I wish I would have known more about the games themselves than just their little funny background story. Couldn't have been worse than Gearbox. That's what I wrote down.
That's true. Yeah.
What did you think about Xbox and Bethesda?
Okay. Well, Xbox and Bethesda, they just fucking killed it, obviously, as we talked about. Plenty to be excited about. I think they said 27 of the 30, or was it 31 after they had their one more thing moment?
Yeah, I think, well, then technically I think it'd be 28, because I think they said 27 out of the 30, and so if they added one more to that one is also coming to Game Pass day one, so that'll be 28 out of 31 games they talked about today.
Coming to Game Pass on day one, and they were all day one, right? None of them said
day one.
Yeah. They're not showing any games that are coming to Game Pass at some point, but not day one. They're always day one. Okay. So that's awesome. Obviously, at least in my opinion, Game Pass is the future. I think Sony better figure something out quickly. I think not having some kind of presence at this at E3 is really hurting Sony. And I hope they have a state of play coming very soon, because we need to see a waterfall of games coming to the Sony platform at the very least for next year. But they need something soon to say, hey, look at all this shit that's coming to PlayStation that you can't play on Game Pass, bitches.
Right, exactly. And they also probably need to come up with an answer for Game Pass. I mean, that's the biggest thing that we keep talking about week after week, is that they don't have a response for that as of right now. And the current model that they have with that the PlayStation Play, or the Now, or whatever it's called, it's not good enough. And it doesn't offer those.
It would be good enough if they included it with PS Plus. It would be good enough.
First party. They need first party. They don't have they don't have enough.
The very first, I agree with you, but the first step would be merging PS Now into PS Plus. That would go a long way, I feel like.
Right.
And then, yes, I agree, all of their first-party stuff should be on there, but they don't really have a need to do that at this point because they're going to sell them anyways.
Right.
So I would be okay with getting PS Now and then maybe having the first-party games trickle in after a period of time.
Yeah.
Would be the least they can do.
Kind of just to go back here to talk about my thoughts on Xbox and Bethesda showcase. Again, I thought it was next level. There were some monsters in there. I mean, those last three games they put on there with the flight sim, Forza Horizon. Thank you. Forza Horizon 5, and then also finally that Redfall. Those games are just sensational. They also had the showcase of Halo. They also had the showcase of Starfield. They had so much there in that one show. It was amazing, those big games. And then they had indie games as well too. And so many were already coming to Game Pass, like we talked about. It shows that there's a lot of future and promise. They're finally investing into those studios that are making exclusive titles for them.
They did invest them, and it's finally... They're finally reaping the benefits. Yeah,
exactly.
Now, don't forget too, they also went through a bunch of their other shit. Like, we're also working on the next Fable. We're also, we also have Gears of War. We also have, all
Elder
these
Scrolls
other
6.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 he mentioned also. Yeah. So it's cool that they kind of like tossed that in there.
I'm surprised that we didn't get an update on Hellblade 2, because that they had showcased, I think, last year or the year before. And I remember that's I think it was like 2019. I showed people that trailer because of the teeth and just how next gen it fucking looked. And I was like, oh my God, that's coming to Xbox. I was like that. I mean, I got goosebumps watching that trailer, and I was surprised that no update on that or anything. I would love to see Scalebound. I mean, now that it seems like they've got, a lot of teams, a lot of, if they pick that project back up and because again, I really feel like this could be the next console war. I mean, I really feel like I feel like the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 was kind of a dud error. I don't feel like either of them kind of like were stars in my opinion. PlayStation 2 obviously crushed Xbox, even though Xbox at that time had fucking Halo, and that was amazing. PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, 4 wins out every day because of the exclusivity of those titles that PlayStation put out, and they were just top notch. I feel like this right now, what we saw from Xbox today is the making of the next console war.
Bethesda really was the linchpin for that, and they couldn't do it. I mean, they wouldn't be able to hold a candle if it weren't for them. And these exclusive, I mean, they'd be able to hold a candle. I shouldn't say that, but this Bethesda exclusivity thing is really gonna make Sony sweat. Yeah,
absolutely. And the Game Pass too. I mean, those two things right there.
Well, that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, those two things I think are set Xbox really far ahead, and we could really see some very competitive gaming out of the two of the companies now.
Yep. And xCloud too.
xCloud. xCloud is going to be crazy once that actually rolls out. Yeah.
That's going to kill Stadia, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do something with my Stadia gamepad. Maybe I'll make a toy out of it.
It'll just be a paperweight.
Like Captain N, a long time ago, I used to wrap my my NES controller cords around my waist like a little belt and pretend I was Captain N, the game master. I like press the buttons.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Square Enix, I think was mostly disappointing. There's way too many mobile games. Like, what the hell? They didn't talk about any of the stuff that we wanted them to talk about. Mainly, at least for me, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Give us something. I need to know what's going on with that. And Tomb Raider would have been interesting. Yep. I don't think they just didn't have anything killer other than Guardians, which was a nice surprise.
Right. But it was like, here's there's like the roller coaster. Like you started off so high and then just like immediately dropped off.
And I figured they're going to close with something big. Yeah. No.
And they didn't.
No, not at all. It was like, wow, that just petered out.
Yeah, I had here that Square Enix showing was a huge letdown. I was expecting more, Final Fantasy 16, which they showcased already. There was a trailer for that, and that wasn't talked about at all. Forspoken, which was that one where it's the girl and she's like running between like dilapidated buildings.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
It looks so good. Those two games, there was huge. All you had to do was show those fucking two games again and talk a little bit about it, and like we would have been like jizzing our pants. Like that's like
it was in my pants.
Right. But they went down a weird mobily avenue and I just made that fucking word up. So mobily.
That's actually a real word, I think.
Oh, really? Is it?
I think it is. Now I'm gonna look it up.
So Guardians of the Galaxy, fantastic. I can't believe that this was the first time that we even heard about it. We were kind of thinking that from the studio, from Eidos Montreal, that we were going to be getting either a Tomb Raider or we were getting the next Deus Ex, and the fact that they shocked us with this was like, whoa. And again, they just seem to be showcasing a lot of weird titles that had strange in them, and that last one, like I said, just kept on saying the word chaos, and it made me feel like they didn't even know what that word actually meant. Like that's a play on Princess Bride, so where he would say inconceivable. Overall, flat presentation. Someone get a defibrillator because that show had no life to it. Zing roasted.
I'm not sure if mobily is a word, but it's definitely a Saudi cell phone company.
Nice.
Or something.
Nice. Well, we've just used it in an adverb or adjective way. So
there you go.
Yep. So SJR, boom, us.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow.
We're going to trademark that.
That was a beefy episode. There was a lot of conferences to cover. Thanks for bearing with us if you're still here. We do have some viewers here still live, so we really appreciate you guys getting in on the conversation here and hanging out with us on Sunday evening. Sure. We're really excited to get these next conferences under our belt this week. Hopefully Nintendo comes out and knocks out of the park, and it's going to be hard to compete with Microsoft, but as we were saying, we were talking about it offline, and I think if we could see a Switch Pro and Breath of the Wild 2, that'll be my conference of the show for sure.
Yeah.
Sprinkle in some Metroid Prime 4, please.
Yeah.
If we don't get either of those, if we don't get any of those, it will be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I see maybe them showcasing more Pokemon, but I feel like the Pro is coming. I think the Pro is coming. Yeah,
it's got to. All right. Anyways, that's all we've got for you guys this week. Remember, Super Joystick Radio is a weekly show, so please subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast application like iTunes. Become a patron at patreon.com/superjoystickradio. $1 gets you early access to the show. $3 gets you exclusive access to the show notes and the SJR Banter Archives, which has a giant collection of stuff that was cut from before, during, and after previous shows. $5 also gets you all the perks previously mentioned, plus a badge on our Discord server and a mention on the show. Shout out right now to our $5 patrons: Phil Lynch, Joe Halder, Rob Belchunas, Nick, last name not specified, Caitlin, Chrissy, Justin D, Maddie Deebs, C Fresh, and Jay Schmed. Lucio Damn. That was amazing.
Thank you.
All tiers.
I won't be able to talk tomorrow.
Yeah, no, you won't. Yeah. But it'll be worth it. Yep. All tiers get discounts in the merch store, where you can find things like SJR tracheas,
SJR earplugs.
Oh, SJR megaphones.
Oh, nice. SJR signs.
There you go. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, as well as Let's Plays and streams. Sub to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/superjoystickradio to watch us record the show live, usually every Sunday. But this week, I think we're going to do it on Thursday or Friday. We'll have to wait and see.
Got that Father's Day.
There you go. Yeah. Happy Father's Day. Visit superjoystickradio.com for all of our social media links. The merch store is mentioned. And you can join our Discord channel on there. Our Discord server, my bad. You can see what we're talking about right there without even signing up. It's awesome. So you can get in on the conversation, or at least read it with zero commitment whatsoever. Yep. Shout out right now to our awesome Discord server members. You guys are amazing. Keep up the conversation. Leave us a text or a voicemail via the SJR hotline, 630-551-8898. That's 630-551-8898. Remember, it's just a text message. It can say anything. It might even be able to have dick pics. I'm not sure. It goes through Google phone number, so I'm not sure if they allow that, but we'll take anything you'll send.
Yeah.
Get in on the conversation. We'd love to hear your feedback or topic ideas on any platform. Like a grade school birthday party, nobody leaves empty-handed. Here's your goodie bag for the week. Justin, what do you have for the good people?
So Bo Burnham just released a new special here on Netflix. It's called Inside. It's so fucking good. I watched it, and then I watched it again immediately right after finishing it. Then I downloaded the album, and then 3 days later I watched it again. It's so damn good. It's all about the pandemic and feeling isolated and coping with the depression, but in a very silly song singy way of, his comedy and everything. But it's all like kind of like he has a style of like sort of almost like self-deprecation. And it can be alarming. Like my wife, when we watched his last special back in 2016, like sent him a message on Instagram being like, I hope you're okay. Just know that you're loved by so many of your fans. And she's just so sweet. She thought about him. And that's the first thought you kind of think of when you watch this. You're like, dude, I hope he doesn't like kill himself. But it's just so real. And it's what a lot of people went through during this time of COVID and being like locked away inside your house for over a year. And this special is great. I would say definitely check it out. It's worth watching and listening to the songs, because I know I will fucking like sing them during the day all day long right now. What about you? What do you got, buddy?
I stumbled across something called Girlfriend Reviews on YouTube, which is fucking hilarious. It's basically reviews by a girlfriend of the games that her boyfriend is playing. So she just hangs out and watches him play these games, and then she reviews them. But it's just super funny, very intelligent, very topical. They definitely are totally into game culture. So they're really good. And then the editing is fantastic. They put in all these hilarious clips of like The Office with memes. So like they put text on someone's forehead, like Michael's, where it says me, and then someone else or something like that. and Always Sunny. They use those too. I
feel like I've seen this before. Did they go through all of the Smash Brothers characters?
They may have. I don't know, because they have a ton of videos. But the one that got me into them is Nier Automata. It's awesome. It's a really good review. But they've got a shitload of them. So I want to go through and just like watch everything because they're so funny. So
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's called Girlfriend Reviews. Thank you for sharing. On YouTube. Check it out. It's amazing. That's all we've got for you guys this week. Thanks for listening. We love you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Be prepared for part 2. Get ready.